Di Linhan went back to mull over what Yun Chujo had said for a moment before he went back to the palace where the palace lord's wife was sleeping. The palace lord's wife was still there embroidering flowers. Di Linhan went against his heart and praised the palace lord's wife's embroidery skills a few times before he said, "Jinsei, the weather outside is very good today. Why don't we go for a walk in the back garden?" The wife said lightly, "You can go by yourself. I think it would be good to embroider flowers in the house." If that's the case, then I will not go. You can continue to embroider. I will watch you embroider from the side," Di Linhan said as he sat down directly opposite the wife. The wife did not even lift her eyelids as she continued to embroider flowers. Di Linhan looked at the crumpled red blob and gritted his teeth as he said, "Jinsei, didn't you say that you want to make a perfume bag for your husband? Why don't you do it now?" "I just happen to want to make a perfume bag to wear." The palace mistress finally raised her head and looked at Di Linhan. "You really want to wear it?" "Wear it? As long as it's Jinsei, I will wear it," Di Linhan said through gritted teeth. The palace mistress raised an eyebrow. "My craftsmanship is not as good as your second junior sister's. Aren't you afraid that you will lose face if you wear it?" Di Linhan suddenly thought of the suggestion that Yun Chujo had mentioned. He immediately said, "How can second junior sister's craftsmanship be better than Jinsei's? What the hell is that thing that she embroiders? How can it be as vivid as Jinsei's? Look at the flowers that you embroider. Your husband seems to be able to smell the fragrance from them." Although the palace lord's wife knew that Di Linhan was lying through his teeth, she still felt a tinge of sweetness in her heart and her expression softened slightly as she said, "Since that's the case, I will sew you a fragrance pouch right now." "All right, I will wait here." Di Linhan saw that the palace lord's wife's expression had softened, and he could not help but be secretly delighted. It looked like the suggestion that little Nine had made was very useful, and it was not in vain that he had been extorted so many good things. Although the palace lord's wife's embroidery skills had not improved over the years, but her needlework, had actually not improved much either. She had gone through a lot of effort to sew up a strange-shaped sachet. In order to prevent the fragrance inside from leaking out, the palace lord's wife had sewed it several times before she had filled it with some fragrance. She then sewed the mouth shut. "Here, put it on." The palace lord's wife handed the freshly brewed sachet to Di Linhan. Di Linhan looked at the sachet that was so ugly that he could not bear to look straight at it and said against his heart, "Jinsei, this sachet of yours is the most exquisite sachet I have ever seen. I will put it on right now and let you have a look." Di Linhan gritted his teeth and put the sachet on his waist, saying with a smile, "Jinsei, look, your craftsmanship is really not bad." A glint of a smile flashed in the eyes of the palace lord's wife. "Since you like my craftsmanship so much, I have decided to make you another piece of clothing." Di Linhan's feet staggered and he almost knelt down before the palace lord's wife. He thought to himself, this sachet was after all small in size and no one would pay attention to it. Could the clothes she had made be worn? If he were to wear it out, wouldn't it make people laugh their heads off? "You're not saying anything, could it be that you're not willing? Since you're not willing, then forget it," the palace lord's wife said with a frown. Di Linhan was afraid that all his previous efforts would be wasted, so he could only say with a smile, "Of course I'm willing. I'm so happy that I'm a fool, that's why I didn't say anything." "Then I'll have to trouble you, my wife." Hearing that, the palace mistress immediately started to make clothes for Di Linhan. A few days later, the palace mistress had ruined quite a few pieces of cloth and finally stayed up all night to make a long robe for Di Linhan. Di Linhan looked at the clothes in the hands of the palace lord's wife and he almost cried. There was nothing wrong with the black cloth. But what the hell was that bunch of red embroidery on it? Di Linhan gritted his teeth and said, "Jinsei, you are really too capable to be able to sew it up so quickly?" The palace lord's wife said a little smugly, "Although my embroidery skills are average, but this sewing work is not bad. Come here, give it a try and see how it goes." Di Linhan braced himself and asked the palace lord's wife to help him put on his clothes. Di Linhan looked at himself in the mirror and the corners of his eyes twitched a little. He did not say anything more about the blobs of red on top, but why was there a long sleeve and a short sleeve? One wide and one narrow? Even the hem of the clothes was actually high on one side and low on the other. "Jinsei, your craftsmanship is really too good. The clothes really fit you too well. Di Linhan rolled up the left sleeve and said against his will. Since you think it's not bad, then you should wear it. Oh right, why isn't the fragrance pouch I made for you exposed? Are you finding it distasteful? If you find it distasteful, then return it to me. The lady palace master said coldly. Seeing that, Di Linhan quickly took out the fragrance pouch and said, Jinsei, I was afraid that it would be worn out, so I kept it. I will put it on now. Di Linhan put the sachet on his waist and made up his mind. No matter what he said, he would not go out today. When tomorrow morning came, he would think of a way to get some tea or something, and then he would be able to change out of his clothes. Just as Di Linhan was thinking about that, he heard the wife of the palace lord say, I have been cooped up in the house for quite a few days and the weather today is not bad. You should accompany me to take a walk in the back garden. That's right, you should be more careful. If you get something dirty on the clothes that I have worked so hard to make, Di Linhan felt his head buzz. The bedroom was not very close to the back garden. If he were to go out, wouldn't the entire back garden be able to see his comical appearance? How would he be able to face others in the future? Where would his dignity as the palace lord go? Why? You are not willing to accompany me? If that's the case, then I will go alone. The palace lord's wife walked out with a cold face. Di Linhan was at a loss. Should he go or not? The result was obvious. If he were to go, the palace lord's wife's anger would be mostly gone. If he did not go, the Cold War between the two of them would definitely continue, and it might even become more serious than before. Was face more important or was affection more important? Di Linhan gritted his teeth and stomped his foot to chase after her. Jinsei, wait for me. I'll go with you. The corners of the palace lord's wife's mouth curled up, and she turned to face Di Linhan with a bright smile. All right, I'll wait for you. Di Linhan felt that it had been a long time since he had seen the palace lord's wife smile so happily, and his heart felt a chill. He ran over to her, and the two of them walked side by side towards the back garden. The servants of the Palace of Immortals were all dumbstruck as they looked at the man beside the palace lord's wife. Emma, was that the palace lord? What the hell was the palace lord wearing? Was that called clothes? What the hell was that ball of red on top? Was that an imitation of a leopard's spots? And why was the palace lord still rolling up one of his sleeves? Why were the two sides of the lower hem not lengthened on either side? Emma, the fragrant sachet hanging from the palace lord's waist? This is a little too shabby, isn't it? Di Linhan noticed the gazes of the servants as they sized him up. He couldn't wait to activate the concealment talisman and even took a turn when he walked. The palace mistress glanced at him and said, If you regret it, you can go back now. I will go to the garden by myself. Di Linhan braced himself and said, Who said I have to go back? The weather is so good and it is perfect for a walk outside. Moreover, the clothes you made for me, Jinsei, are so unique. It would be nice to let more people see them. The lady of the palace hall pursed her lips into a smile and stretched out her hand. Di Linhan was not stupid, he quickly held it, and the two of them walked forward hand in hand. Di Linhan held the soft hand in his hand. The joy that was overflowing from the bottom of his heart had washed away all the face and awkwardness, and he only felt that for this moment, it wouldn't matter even if he had to wear the clothes for a few more days. Hence, the servants of the Hall of Immortals saw their usually solemn and imposing palace lord dressed in a strange robe, wearing an ugly-looking sachet. Laughing like a fool, he walked hand in hand with the palace lord's wife towards the back garden. For the next 2 days, Di Linhan was forced by the palace lord's wife to wear that unique robe. At first, Di Linhan was still feeling a little uncomfortable, but as time passed, he did not feel that it was a big deal. It did not matter that he had let go of his pride, and he felt that the feeling of letting go of his ego was not too bad. Most importantly, the relationship between Di Linhan and the mistress of the palace hall seemed to have returned to the feeling of being passionately in love. The two of them spent their days together drinking tea, playing chess, going for a walk, and of course they could not avoid having intimate contact. The complexion of the mistress of the palace hall had become a little more alluring than before. Seeing that the two of them had reconciled, Yun Chujio was naturally very happy, but the little pervert's heart was a little sour. What the hell, when would she be able to eat the pretty boy? Could it be that if the strange grass in her dantian was not removed, her sunflower water would not come? Forget about the Guai Chao. That fellow Yun Chuzhou had to scold it at least a few hundred times every day. The Guai Chao had no choice but to spend money to buy some peace and provide a drop of liquid to stimulate the growth of the medicinal herbs. Only then did Yun Chuzhou stop nagging. On this day, Di Linhan held up 2 invitation cards and said, Gui Yuan sect and Yin clan have jointly sent over an invitation card. 5 days later, Qin Mingzhu and Yin Zucheng's engagement ceremony will be held. They have invited me and Bei Ming to attend the ceremony. The wife of the palace lord frowned. Husband, you can go alone, right? Does Bei Ming still need to go? It has specifically stated that both me and Bei Ming are invited. Furthermore, Qin Mingzhu is the pearl in Qin Yixio's palm. Although Qin Zucheng's father is the second elder of the Yin clan, his status is not low. The engagement ceremony between the two of them should be of a higher standard. Di Linhan explained. Father, if we both leave the Palace of Immortals, wouldn't the situation be the same as the last time? What if the Hall of the Netherworld attacks? I'd better not go, Di Baiming said with a frown. Di Linhan also felt that it was not very safe for the two of them to leave. That's fine. When the time comes, I'll just find an excuse to say it. Since that's the case, I'll set off for the Gui Yuan sect tomorrow. Bei Ming will stay in the Palace of Immortals. The next day, Di Linhan brought dozens of secret guards to Gui Yuan sect. Once Di Linhan left, Di Baiming had a lot of things to deal with. Hence, Yun Chuzhou was like a wild horse that had run out of control, and no one cared about her anymore. Yun Chuzhou counted with her fingers. There were only about 10 days left until the start of school. How did the holidays pass so quickly? This fellow quickly ran to the kitchen and asked Steward Li to prepare the food that she wanted to take away. After instructing Steward Li, this fellow decided to pick some spirit fruits for her to eat back at Tianyuan Academy. When she was almost done picking, Yun Chuzhou recalled the incident where she fell into the forbidden area for the sake of picking the 7-star fruit. She ran to the vicinity of the forbidden area to pick the 7-star fruit. This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. Although this forbidden land was no different from the ordinary places after the last incident, the stone tablet was still standing there. No one from the Temple of Immortals dared to go inside. After Yun Chuzhou picked a few 7-star fruits, she mumbled, "It's such a pity to waste such a large piece of land. Oh right, I happen to have the growth-promoting liquid that Go Weiba gave me. Why don't I plant a Hundun fruit tree and try it? What if it can grow without earth fire?" This fellow thought out loud and ran into the forbidden land. He took out his pickaxe and dug a hole. Then he took out the core of a Hundun fruit and buried it in it. After he diluted the liquid, he poured it on top of it. A moment later, a tender shoot emerged from the soil and grew with the wind. Soon it grew taller than Yun Chuzhou. This fellow was happy. It seemed that the liquid secreted by Go Weiba could not only accelerate the growth, but also change the environment of the spiritual plants. Go Weiba tail could be considered useful. Yun Chuzhou poured another basin of water on the roots of the tree, and flower buds began to form on the Hundun tree. Yun Chuzhou touched her chin. This speed seemed to be much faster than when she was in the Linghua sect. It seemed that this liquid was also upgrading along with the upgrade of Go Weiba tail. Yun Chuzhou poured another basin of water, and the flowers began to bloom, emitting waves of strange fragrance. Yun Chuzhou drooled as she waited for the flowers to bear fruit. At this moment, a sudden change occurred. A huge suction force suddenly came from under her feet, and Yun Chuzhou and the Hundun tree instantly disappeared. Yun Chuzhou's mind only flashed with one sentence. If she didn't do it, she wouldn't die. When Yun Chuzhou opened her eyes, she let out a bitter laugh. This was actually the place where the aura of Hundun was sealed when she was framed by Dian Chui the last time. To her surprise, the roots of the fruit tree of Hundun started to grow thicker. More and more flower buds grew on the tree. The originally small space was almost completely covered by the branches and leaves of the fruit tree of Hundun. It was filled with a strange fragrance. What's going on with this thing? There was no sunlight and no earth fire. The aura of Hundun was also completely absorbed by the black bead. How could this fruit tree of Hundun still grow so luxuriously? It's really strange. However, it doesn't matter whether it's strange or not. How am I going to get out? Yun Chujo tried to summon the black bead in her dantian. It was because the black bead had absorbed all the Hundun chi before she went out last time, so she was prepared to let the black bead try again. Unexpectedly, the black bead seemed to be dead. Yun Chujo did not respond no matter how hard she tried. Yun Chujo was so angry that she grabbed a few flowers from the Hundun fruit tree and ate them. Damn it! It's all because of this broken tree. It's most likely the cause of the trouble. I'm also stupid. This Hundun fruit tree and the aura of Hundun sound like they are close relatives. Maybe they have some unspeakable relationship. I actually planted the Hundun fruit tree on it. I'm really courting death. Yun Chujo was so regretful that her intestines were turning green. She was regretting it here. The palace master's wife and Di Biming were so anxious that they were about to go crazy. She was fine, but why did she disappear? Di Biming understood Yun Chujo better. He felt that this fellow had most likely left the canteen to pick spirit fruits for future consumption. Hence, he went to the spirit fruit forest to look for Yun Chujo. Di Biming followed Yun Chujio's footprints all the way to the forbidden area. When he saw that the footprints finally disappeared in the forbidden area, Di Biming's head buzzed. Did little Joe fall into the forbidden area again? This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. Could it be that little Joe has fallen into the forbidden area again? This little scoundrel, why did she come to this forbidden area for no reason? What should we do now? The palace mistress was angry and anxious. Di Biming sighed, Mother, you don't have to worry too much. Little Joe will definitely be fine. Didn't she come out safely last time? This time she will definitely be fine. The palace master's wife could only sigh and say, Sigh, don't worry too much. Even your master has no way to open this forbidden area. We can only wait for little Joe to come out on her own. Di Biming nodded and had no choice but to have people stand guard around the forbidden area. He hoped that Yun Chujo would come out earlier this time. Moreover, the unlucky Yun Chujo could not move the black bead at her command. She could only think of a way to save herself. She kept hacking at the edge of the space with the big kitchen knife. The space in the Forbidden Land kept getting bigger. The strange thing was that the branches and leaves of the Hundun fruit tree covered the area as the space got bigger. Fuck. I don't believe that you can keep growing even if I keep hacking. This guy was competing with her. Therefore, Yun Chujo started to hack at the space, eat, sleep, and then hack at the space. The trunk of the Hundun fruit tree became thicker and thicker. Its branches and leaves covered the entire forbidden space, and it even began to bear fruit. Yun Chujo was also discouraged. It seemed that no matter how much space she cut, it would be occupied by this damn Hundun fruit tree. If that was the case, why would she waste her energy? She might as well wake up the black bead. Yun Chujo was competing with the black bead again. She scolded it a few thousand times a day. Unfortunately, the black bead still looked like a corpse and did not respond at all. Yun Chujo was really at her wits' end this time. Could it be that she was trapped here and died? The gigolo said that even his master could not open this forbidden area. Could it be that she really could not get out? Yun Chujo gritted her teeth and stared at the Hundun fruit tree. Damn it, it was all because of this damn tree. If it was not for it, she would definitely not have been implicated. Yun Chujo forced herself to calm down and began to recall the entire process. When she dug the hole, there was nothing unusual. When the small tree grew up, there was nothing unusual. It seemed that the moment the flower bloomed, there was a change. What did this mean? Could it be that the fragrance of the flower attracted something? In other words, something was craving for the fruit of Hundun? If that was the case, if she ripened the fruit of Hundun, would she be able to leave? Although Yun Chujo felt that this hypothesis was a little unreliable, she could only try her best. Hence, she forced the Guai Chao to produce another 2 drops of liquid, causing the leaves of the Guai Chao to become much dimmer. Obviously, this liquid was condensed from the essence of its body. After Yun Chujo diluted the liquid, she began to water the roots of the fruit of Hundun. The green fruits began to mature at a speed visible to the naked eye. The entire space was filled with a strange fragrance. Something that Yoon Chujo thought did not appear. The ripe fruits on the tree began to fall to the ground and quickly grew into new Hundun fruit trees. Wherever their branches and leaves went, the space was forcefully squeezed open. The space rapidly expanded. Yoon Chujo was shocked by the scene in front of her. Oh my god, this is too strange. However, this fellow did not forget to pluck her hair at this moment. She thought to herself that she had wasted 2 drops of the growth-promoting liquid. If she did not pluck a few fruits, she would be letting the Guai Chow down. Hence, this fellow leaped onto the Hundun fruit tree and began to pluck the fruits. Yoon Chujo picked the fruits very quickly. In a short while she had picked hundreds of them. Then there was no more. She felt a white light flash before her eyes, and she did not know anything. Before she fainted, a thought flashed through her mind. Damn it, was it because she had picked too many Hundun fruits that she was sent out? When Yoon Chujo opened her eyes, she was almost choked to death by the smelly mud. It was not easy for her to stick her head out of the mud. What the hell was this place? Yoon Chujo took out the night pearl and shone it on the place. It seemed to be a dry well. Something seemed to have covered it. Yoon Chujo touched it casually and found a person. When Yoon Chujo pulled that person out of the mud, she found that he was already dead. Yoon Chujo took out a basin of hands from her storage ring and poured it on that person's head. The dead person was a young girl. Her face was full of scars, and she looked very ferocious. Yoon Chujo used a lot of effort to get the young girl's body out. She washed it with clear water and found that the young girl was wearing a set of gray clothes. The material of the cloth was very ordinary, and the clothes were badly damaged. It seemed to have been torn apart by someone. Yoon Chujo found a low-level storage ring on the girl's hand. After using her spiritual sense, she found that there were only a few sets of clothes and 2 veils inside. They were probably used to hide her appearance. After all, her appearance was too badly damaged. Yoon Chujo touched the girl's body again, but she did not find any identity jade token. She could only search in the mud for a while and finally found a jade token. When Yoon Chujo saw the words on it, she could not help but be shocked. On the front of the jade token were the words, Goyuan Sect, while on the back were the words, Canteen. Could it be that she was now in Goyuan Sect's territory? The Temple of Immortals was 3 to 4 days away from Gueyuan Sect, but she was actually teleported here? There was a high chance that she was really from Gueyuan Sect, because the Temple of Immortals did not have such a dry well, nor did it have such a maid. What should she do? That little bitch, Qin Mingzhu, hated her to death. Wasn't she courting death in her territory? Yoon Chujo frowned and thought for a while. Her eyes lit up. It was obvious that this maid had not died for long. Moreover, she should have been harmed by someone. Since she was harmed by someone, she must not be exposed to the public. Even if she was resurrected from the dead, the person who harmed her did not dare to make a sound. Most importantly, this maid's figure was similar to hers. If she wore the veil, no one would be able to recognize her. When she met the pretty boy's father, she would be safe. Yes, that was what she should do. Yoon Chujo spent a long time to change into the servant girl's clothes. During the process of changing, Yoon Chujo noticed that there were many bruises on the servant girl's body. Could it be that she was raped and killed? Miss, you have a good journey. If I can find the person who killed you, I will definitely avenge you. You can go in peace. Yoon Chujo repeated it a few times before letting Xiao Hanyo burn the servant girl's body. Just in case, Yoon Chujo made a few fake scars on her face. Although they were very rough, they were covered by a veil, so she could not see anything. But what about this voice? She had never heard this servant girl's voice before. So wouldn't she be exposed as soon as she opened her mouth? Forget it, she would just take it one step at a time. At worst, she would just pretend that her voice was hoarse and speak less to deceive her. I don't know what level this maid's spiritual power is. The rough maids in the Palace of Immortals are usually at the 6th or 7th level of the Spirit Sect. I'll just pretend to be at the 6th level of the Spirit Sect. If I give myself away, I'll think of a way to hide it then. Yoon Chujo was almost done with her calculations. Then, she sat on the chopping board and flew up to the mouth of the well. She tilted her ears to listen, and when she found that there was no movement, She carefully opened a crack and saw that there was indeed no one. Only then did she climb out of the well. This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. Yoon Chujyo came out of the well and realized that it was time for the lights to be turned on. It seemed to be an abandoned courtyard with weeds growing all around it. Yoon Chujyo came out of the courtyard and walked towards the place where the lights were on. After walking for a distance, a maid walked towards her. She was wearing the same clothes as Yoon Chujyo. The maid walked towards Yoon Chujyo and scolded angrily, "Daybreak, you damned hoof, where did you go to slack off again? You stink. Did you go to the beast pen to roll around?" Yoon Chujyo was afraid that she would be exposed, so she did not dare to say anything. She lowered her head and did not say anything. The servant girl raised her hand and probably wanted to hit Yoon Chujyo, but when she saw the mud all over her body, she could only say angrily, "Come back with me. I'll teach you a lesson tomorrow." Did you still think that you were the Miss Personal Servant Girl? Tui. If the Miss was not soft-hearted, she would have killed you long ago. You filthy hoof. Yoon Chujyo lowered her head and allowed the maid to scold her. However, she was puzzled in her heart. Could it be that the dead maid was Qin Ming's personal maid? What was going on with the seductive bitch? The maid kept scolding Yoon Chujyo along the way. From her scolding, Yoon Chujyo learned that the maid was called Lan Xiang. She lived in the same dormitory as Dawn. Both of them were fire maids in the canteen. The two of them were in charge of 3 stoves. Usually Dawn did a lot of work. Unexpectedly this afternoon, Dawn went out for a trip and did not come back. Naturally, the firework fell on Lan Xiang. Naturally, Lan Xiang was full of resentment. Yoon Chujyo could not help but feel happy. Although this Lan Xiang was really unlikable, it was all thanks to her. Otherwise, she would have been confused. Why aren't you saying anything? In the past, when you were high and mighty, didn't you love to talk the most? I know now. Do you feel that your voice is very unpleasant now? Damn it. You actually dared to offend the eldest miss. You're really asking for it. Lan Xiang said with a disdainful look. Yoon Chujyo's heart moved. Her voice was very unpleasant? It should be because someone had poured poison into her throat. Since that was the case, she was not afraid of being exposed. Yoon Chujyo followed Lan Xiang to a small courtyard. Lan Xiang took out her identity jade token and opened the door. She said arrogantly, "Quickly go over there and clean up the mud on your body. Otherwise, you are not allowed to enter the house." Yoon Chujyo looked in the direction where Lan Xiang pointed. There was a simple shed not far away. She guessed that these low-level maids would usually wash up there. Yoon Chujyo nodded her head and walked towards the shed. Lan Xiang pouted and entered the courtyard. Yoon Chujyo came to the shed. The shed was simple and crude. There was a long row of stone grooves with a few holes that were plugged with something. Yoon Chujyo pulled one open and there was clear water flowing out, but it was cold. Yoon Chujyo pouted and opened the isolation array. She took out hot water from her storage ring, washed it briefly, and changed into a set of clean-made clothes before returning to the small courtyard. Yoon Chujyo imitated Lan Xiang and used her identity jade token to open the courtyard door and enter the courtyard. The small courtyard was very small, and she arrived at the door of the house in just a few steps. Yoon Chujyo gently opened the door and walked in. Lan Xiang glanced at her and scolded, "Bitch, where exactly did you go today? Why did you come back with a body full of smelly mud? Did you go to meet a wild man?" Yoon Chujyo said in a rough voice, "No. No? Then where did you go? Do you still think you are the beautiful maid? Let me tell you, you are now a piece of trash that no one wants. You better behave or I will not forgive you." Lan Xiang stretched out her leg and was about to kick Yoon Chujyo. This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. Yoon Chujyo's eyes flashed with a cold light. In just an instant, she returned to a submissive look. However, she stumbled and just happened to dodge Lan Xiang's foot. Lan Xiang did not expect Yoon Chujyo to dodge. She used too much strength and fell forward. Yoon Chujyo reached out to support Lan Xiang and said in a rough voice, "Be careful." Lan Xiang shook off Yun Chujia's hand in exasperation. Get lost. You don't have to pretend to be kind. Yun Chujio returned to her bed submissively. Lan Xiang scolded a few more times before she put out the candle and everyone went to rest. Yun Chujio waited until Lan Xiang fell asleep before she took out the sound transmission talisman to send a message to Di Biming. To her surprise, the sound transmission talisman did not succeed. What was going on? Could it be that the voice transmission talisman had not been used for a long time, so it had failed? Yun Chujio tried the voice transmission talisman with Enfeng and Shui Wuji again. Without exception, none of them could be used. Perhaps there was a formation in the dormitory? Let's try it at the canteen tomorrow. Yun Chujio was a big-hearted person. She put away the voice transmission talisman and fell asleep sweetly. Daybreak, you bitch. You're still sleeping. Hurry up and go to work. If you drag me into Manager Liu's scolding, I'll tear your skin off. Yun Chujio suddenly sat up and stared at Lan Xiang, who was shouting in front of the bed. Lan Xiang was shocked by Yun Chujio's gaze. When she looked again, she found that the person on the bed was still as obedient as before. She thought that she might have been seeing things. Not to mention that this bitch had fallen to such a state. Even when she was in her glory days, she did not have the same imposing manner as before. When she thought of this, Lan Xiang immediately regained her arrogance. What are you standing there like a wooden stake for? Hurry up and wash up. Yun Chujio got up and ran out of the courtyard in a flash. She rushed to the place where she washed up. As she ran, she cursed in her heart. Damn it, little bitch, if I was not afraid of being exposed now, I would not have tortured you to death. Yun Chujio washed up briefly before running back. Lan Xiang had already closed the courtyard door. She had a look of disdain on her face. Actually, it doesn't make any difference whether you wash up or not. Anyway, you wear that veil all day long. Do you think that after you wash up, the scar on your face can be removed? Yun Chujio followed behind her fearfully and did not say a word, allowing Lan Xiang to curse nonstop at the side. Yun Chujio observed her surroundings without batting an eyelid. First, she passed by a large area of the dormitory. After walking for another 15 minutes, she finally saw the big words canteen. When Yun Chujio and Lan Xiang arrived, there were already other people busy in the canteen. A short fat man with a greasy face saw the two of them. He scolded loudly. What time is it? You just died. Hurry up and start a fire. If you delay breakfast, I won't forgive you. Lan Xiang twisted her waist and walked over. She pinched her throat and said, Manager Liu, please calm down. It's that bitch Daybreak who is still lazing in bed. If not, I would have come long ago. Manager Liu obviously did not like the ordinary-looking Lan Xiang. He spat, Stop trying to get close to me. Hurry up and start a fire. Lan Xiang was frustrated and vented her anger on Yun Chujio. Bitch, what are you still standing there for? Didn't you hear what Manager Liu said? Hurry up and start a fire. Yun Chujio saw that there were 3 stoves that were left unattended. It was probably the stoves that she and Lan Xiang were in charge of. She walked over and started the fire. This fellow could not help but laugh at himself. Could it be that she was the one who started the fire? Previously, she was the one who started the fire in the Linghua sect, but now, she was still the one who started the fire in the Guiyuan sect. Yun Chujio skillfully lit the fire and began to take care of the 3 stoves. Lan Xiang stood at the side and slacked off. She curled her lips. Just now I said that Xiao didn't know how to light a fire. Isn't this burning pretty well? It seems that you are born with a cheap life. Even if you climb up the branch occasionally, you will be beaten back to your original state. 2 flames flickered in Yun Chujio's eyes. Some people just had to suppress people like her to gain vanity and satisfaction. They were really looking for a beating. Lan Xiang cursed a few times. Seeing that Yun Chujio didn't have any reaction, she probably felt a little bored. So she went to a few maids who were picking vegetables to chat. The maids were naturally very happy to see that someone was helping them with the work. So they started chatting while picking vegetables. Although Yun Chujio wanted to test the sound transmission talisman, there were too many people around, so she didn't dare to. She could only listen to the maids chatting. The day after tomorrow is the engagement day between our eldest miss and son-in-law. These 2 days will definitely be very busy. Yes, there are guests coming to our door one after another now. Fortunately, the ordinary guests and the guards who came with us are provided by the big canteen of the sect. We are only responsible for the food of the distinguished guests. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to handle it even if we were busy. The cooking skills of the big canteen are not as good as the cooking skills of our small canteen. Naturally, we are responsible for the food of the distinguished guests. I heard that the sect leader has sent invitations to Your Excellency and the young master of Wuji. Do you think they can come? I have only seen their portraits and have never seen them in person. A maid lowered her voice and said, I heard that the reason why the eldest miss is engaged to the son-in-law, the Yun Chujo whom Your Excellency likes, and the young master of Wuji are inextricably linked is that they will definitely not come. I also heard that the young miss has always liked her husband. I didn't expect Yun Chujo to come out of nowhere and trick our young miss. I guess this isn't over yet. TSK, that's for sure. Look at what happened to Daybreak and you'll know what the young miss is capable of. That Yun Chujo will suffer sooner or later. The maids became more and more excited as they chatted. Their voices couldn't help but become louder. The short and fat man rushed over and gave each of them a slap on the face. Damn it! If anyone dares to gossip again, it'll make you suffer the same fate as Daybreak. The maids covered their cheeks and did not dare to make a sound. They began to pick the vegetables obediently. Lan Xiang also ran back dejectedly to look after a stove. After a full 2 hours of work, breakfast was finally ready. There were servants who came over to help the master and the guests with their breakfast. Yun Chujo was quietly collecting useful information when she felt someone staring at her. Yun Chujo turned around and saw a young man staring at her suspiciously. The man's eyes were blue. He was obviously a lecher. When the man saw that Yun Chujo was looking at him, his eyes revealed a trace of suspicion and viciousness. Then, he said to the short and fat man, Manager Liu, send the two of them to follow me. After the guests finish their meal, ask them to bring back the cutlery. Manager Liu smiled and said, Senior Brother Chu Hu, of course you can talk. The two of you follow Senior Brother Chu Hu and serve him carefully. If Senior Brother Chu Hu is not satisfied, I will skin you alive. The two people Chu Hu pointed at were Yun Chujo and Lan Xiang. Lan Xiang could not hide the excitement on her face. Yun Chujo could not help but laugh to herself. It was just a meal delivery. It was like a pie falling from the sky. How naive. Hearing Yun Chujia's words, Lan Xiang's eyes turned a few times. Her figure was similar to this bitch's, and with the veil on, as long as she did not speak, Senior Brother Chu Hu would not be able to recognize her. As long as she and he could achieve good things, she was not afraid that he would not like her. Thinking of this, Lan Xiang stared at Yun Chujo and said, Are you really not willing to go? Yun Chujo quickly nodded. Sister Lan Xiang, I really don't want to go. I'd rather go back and start a fire. Okay, in that case, I'll reluctantly go on your behalf. When the time comes, if Senior Brother Chu Hu blames me, just say that you told me to go, do you hear me? Lan Xiang despised him in her heart. What a fool. If she got Senior Brother Chu Hu's favor, would she still need to be a rough servant in the big kitchen? She could directly become an outer sect disciple. If you don't cherish this good opportunity, then it would be too easy for me. Yun Chujo nodded. Then Sister Lan Xiang, don't forget to put on the veil. I will go back to the cafeteria now. Lan Xiang impatiently waved her hand at Yun Chujo, then walked toward the barren land with the dry well. After putting on the veil, she excitedly waited for Chu Hu's arrival. An hour later, Lan Xiang heard the sound of footsteps. She could not help but be overjoyed. Then she heard Chu Hu say, Bitch, I didn't expect you to fake your death yesterday. Since you didn't die, then let me feel more comfortable. After Chu Hu said that, he did not care about the fact that he came up and stripped Lan Xiang of her clothes. Lan Xiang could not wait for a good thing to happen in her heart, so she half pushed and half agreed to Chu Hu's request. Although Chu Hu was a little surprised, he did not expect someone to replace Dawn. After the two of them struggled for a long time, Chu Hu finally realized that something was wrong. He used his hand to pull the veil on Lan Xiang's face and was instantly stunned. Lan Xiang said shyly, "Senior brother Chu Hu, this is my first time. You have to treat me well in the future." Chu Hu asked with an ashen face, "Why is it you? Where's Dawn?" Lan Xiang saw that Chu Hu was still thinking about Daybreak and could not help but feel even more jealous and resentful. Hence, she said. Daybreak said that she did not want to have a good relationship with senior brother Chu Hu. She used her sisterly relationship to beg me. I also admire you, senior brother, so I came in her place. Bitch. You really don't know what's good for you. Chu Hu scolded. Senior brother Chu Hu. She is ugly and doesn't know how to appreciate favors. Why do you have to lower yourself to her level? I am now one of your people, senior brother Chu Hu. I am at your beck and call. Lan Xiang said shyly. Get lost. If you say anything about what happened today, I will kill you. Chu Hu kicked Lan Xiang's lower abdomen. Lan Xiang's face was pale from the pain. She did not dare to say anything more and simply put on her clothes and ran away. Chu Hu clenched his fists. Bitch, do you think you can hide from me? It's good that you are not dead. Wait until you are done with your big business and see how I will deal with you. When Lan Xiang returned to the kitchen, she wanted to settle the score with Yun Chujio. However, there were too many people in the kitchen, so she couldn't say anything. She could only glare at Yun Chujio gloomily. Bitch, wait for me to return to the dormitory at night. I won't forgive you. Yun Chujio naturally saw Lan Xiang's gaze, but she didn't care at all. This fellow had never found an opportunity to use a voice transmission talisman. The price of a voice transmission talisman was not cheap. If people found out that she used a voice transmission talisman, they would definitely give it away. It seemed that she could only find another suitable opportunity. Even if she could not send it out, it did not matter. Anyway, the engagement ceremony was the day after tomorrow. She would be able to meet the pretty boy's father. This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. Perhaps because there were more and more customers, the canteen was extremely busy. Yun Chujio could not help but criticize in her heart, Qin Mingzhu, oh Qin Mingzhu, I have contributed a lot to your engagement. Don't thank me too much. It was only when it was time to light the lanterns that Yun Chujio's career as a fire-burning servant finally came to an end. The people in the canteen began to eat. Yun Chujio had just taken a few bites when Lan Xiang said fiercely, Daybreak, stop eating. Follow me back to the dormitory. Yun Chujio acted as if she had not heard her and continued to eat. Not to mention, the culinary skills of the chef of the Guiyuan sect were really not bad. Lan Xiang was already filled with anger. When she saw that Yun Chujio did not respond, she went forward to pull Yun Chujio. She did not expect that the hot soup bowl in Yun Chujio's hand was accidentally spilled by Lan Xiang. Yun Chujio stepped back. A bowl of hot soup was poured on Lan Xiang's hands and clothes. Although the soup was not particularly hot, Lan Xiang was also very embarrassed. She was so angry that she gritted her teeth. You bitch. Go back and wash my clothes right now, or I will not forgive you. A middle-aged woman could not stand it anymore. She said unhappily, Lan Xiang, you have gone too far. It was not on purpose at dawn. Besides, if you did not pull her, why would she be so scared that she dropped the soup bowl? Moreover, she has been working for a whole day. How can she eat so little? The middle-aged woman was manager's son, who was in charge of the dining hall. Although Lan Xiang hated her for meddling in other people's business, she didn't dare to talk back. She glared at Yun Chujio and said, if you have the ability, don't go back to the dormitory tonight. Humph. After Lan Xiang said that, she left. Yun Chujio said to the middle-aged woman, thank you, Manager Sunday. Manager Sun sighed, shook his head and didn't say anything. After Yun Chujio had her fill, she walked out of the canteen and slowly walked towards the dormitory. Some of the maids in the canteen looked at Yun Chujio gloatingly. They did not hold back their discussion. Lan Xiang is really angry. When we go back, we will definitely teach her a lesson. Do you even need to say that? However, who asked her to act so inappropriately? No matter how glorious she was in the past, it's useless. Now that her face and voice have been destroyed, she will never be able to make a name for herself in this lifetime. Only Manager Sun has a kind heart. Why should such a person care about her? She should die early and be reborn early. Yoon Chujia's lowered eyes were filled with a fierce look. Even if the original Dawn was not raped or killed, she would probably break down sooner or later after being subjected to such cold words. These people were really cold and vicious to the extreme. Just as Yoon Chujio was thinking about it, she could not help but fall behind by a large margin. A sigh came from behind. Yoon Chujio turned around and saw that it was Manager Sunday. Yoon Chujio quickly said, "Manager Sun, thank you so much for today." Manager Sun waved his hand. "It's nothing. Miss Dawn, you have to look forward. Just endure it. You can sleep at my place tonight. Otherwise, if you go back, I'm afraid Lan Xiang will torture you." Yoon Chujio thought about it. If not, it would be bad if she could not help but play with that idiot to death. So she nodded gratefully. Then he'll have to trouble Manager Sunday. Manager Sun heard Yoon Chujio's voice, which sounded like she was sawing wood. He couldn't help but sigh in his heart. A good girl was tortured to this state because of a groundless crime. It was really pitiful. Yoon Chujio followed Manager Sun to a courtyard. This courtyard was much bigger than Lan Xiang's. After the two entered the courtyard, they heard a young boy's voice saying, "Mother, you're back." Yoon Chujio was stunned. She saw a thin youth in the courtyard. He looked to be about 14 or 15 years old. The youth was holding a walking stick in his right hand. It was obvious that there was something wrong with his right leg. The youth saw Yoon Chujio was stunned. He nodded at her and said, "Sister Dawn." Yoon Chujio did not know the youth's name. She could only nod her head in a friendly manner as a greeting. Manager Sun took out some food from his storage ring and handed it to the young man. "Ziheng, eat while it's hot. You didn't get sick again today, right?" Ziheng revealed a faint smile. "Mother, my illness is much better. It's been a long time since I got sick again. Aren't you worried too much?" Manager Sun sighed. "Silly child, how can I not worry about you? Your illness is getting more and more dangerous every time." Sigh. "All right, hurry up and eat. I'll bring Sister Dawn to wash up." Manager Sun took out some hot water from his storage ring and said to Yoon Chujio, "I'll go out to eat with Ziheng. You can wash up." Yoon Chujio thanked Manager Sunday. After Manager Sun went out, she simply washed her hands and neck. Naturally, she could not wash her face, or else it would be a waste of time to fake it. When Yoon Chujio went out, Ziheng had already eaten dinner. The mother and son sat on the stone bench, chatting and laughing. It was very warm. Yoon Chujio's tense bowstring could not help but relax a little. Indeed, there were good people and bad people everywhere. Manager Sun and his son seemed to be kind-hearted people. "Manager Sun, I have finished washing up." "Thank you," Yoon Chujio said in a hoarse voice. "You don't have to be so polite. If you hadn't helped me say something, Madam would not have allowed me to bring Ziheng to work in the canteen." Of course, Yoon Chujio didn't know that there was such a thing in the past, so she could only muddle through it. She sat on the stone chair and chatted with the mother and son. When the three of them were chatting happily, Ziheng suddenly covered his chest. His eyes became as red as blood, and traces of lines appeared on his face. It was very strange. Ziheng fell to the ground with a plop and began to twitch. Manager Sun cried out in shock, "Ziheng, Ziheng!" Manager Sun put his right hand into Ziheng's mouth, afraid that he would bite his tongue. Ziheng should have lost his mind. Manager Sun's hand was immediately bitten until it was dripping with blood. Manager Sun still did not take his hand out. Yoon Chujio could not help but feel her heart tremble. This was motherly love, right? He would rather get hurt than let his child get hurt. Should I help them? This Ziheng did not look like he was suffering from epilepsy. Instead, he looked like the kind of person she had seen in an ancient book. Yoon Chujio gritted her teeth, but she still could not harden her heart. She took out a heaven-grade soul-cleansing pill from her storage ring and handed it to Manager Sunday. She said, "Manager Sun, give this to Ziheng to take." Manager Sun was stunned. However, he knew that this pill was not an ordinary one when he smelled the rich medicinal fragrance. He made up his mind and took the pill and fed it to Ziheng. After Ziheng consumed the pill, he slowly regained his consciousness and gradually stopped twitching. Miss Dawn, thank you very much. We will definitely repay you for today's great kindness in the future. Manager Sun's eyes reddened and tears flowed down. Yun Chujo shook her head. It's nothing. Just a pill. Let's take care of Ziheng first. Yun Chujo successfully shifted Manager Sun's attention to Ziheng. Manager Sun helped Ziheng to sit on the stone chair. Ziheng was very calm as if he had never experienced a life-and-death disaster. Yun Chujo had a whole new level of respect for this skinny young man. He had lost a leg and was seriously ill. She did not expect him to be so calm. Was he able to see through life and death? When Manager Sun went to wash up, the young man asked softly, "Who are you? Where is Sister Dawn?" Yun Chujo was not too surprised. This young man was not as simple as he looked. She whispered, "Dawn was killed by someone. I entered by mistake. Don't worry, I have no ill intentions towards you and your mother." The young man looked sad. "I knew Sister Dawn would not live past yesterday." As expected. Yun Chujia's eyes immediately lit up. "Oh my, I've picked up a treasure." Could it be that he was a little fraud? Right, according to the ancient books, the characteristics of his illness just now were in line with the characteristics of a spirit master. When this little baby grew up, it would be a big treasure. She had to invest in this potential stock. "Then did you calculate that you would meet a noble like me?" Yun Chujo said with a smile. Although Ziheng couldn't see Yun Chujia's face, he could see a bit of treachery in Yun Chujia's eyes. He said indifferently, "You are indeed my noble, but I can't calculate your origin and fate. Perhaps my fire hasn't reached the level yet. Before your mother comes out, keep these pills well. Although your spirit master Yen has violated the Tian Dao and will inevitably be punished, these pills can at least protect your little life for the time being. In addition, your leg will definitely recover. Aren't you a little excited?" Yun Chujo said with a smile. Ziheng's eyes were also filled with a trace of excitement. After keeping the pills, he said, "Thank you. In order to repay you, I'll give you a prophecy. The day after tomorrow, something big will happen. The Lord is very fierce." Yun Chujo was stunned. The day after tomorrow? Wouldn't the day after tomorrow be the day Qin Mingzhu and Yin Xuecheng were engaged? How could the day of the wedding be very fierce? Is there a way to solve it? Yun Chujo stared at Ziheng and asked. "I can only predict what will happen, but I can't solve it." Ziheng's expression was still indifferent. This kid should not be lying to her. Fierce? What kind of thing would turn a happy event into a fierce thing? Just as Yun Chujo was puzzled, Ziheng added, "Although the main event is terrible, there are variables. The final result depends on that variable." Yun Chujo immediately said shamelessly, "That variable is me, right? Right?" Ziheng's eyes twitched. Ever since he found out that he had the talent to predict good and bad, he had been calm. However, it was the first time he met such a shameless person. What right did he have to say that he was a variable? "You are too shameless. Who do you think you are? How could a person at the 6th level of the spirit sect become a variable for such a huge disaster?" However, her appearance might really be a variable because he could not calculate anything about her, whether in the past or in the future. How could this be possible? When Yun Chujo wanted to ask again, Manager Sun came out after washing up. Yun Chujo did not say anything else. The three of them chatted for a while, and Manager Sun brought Yun Chujo into the bedroom while Ziheng went into the side room. "Miss Dawn, thank you so much for today. If anything happens to Ziheng, I have no meaning to live," Manager Sun said while wiping away his tears. This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. Manager Sun, you don't have to worry too much. A good person will have his fortune. Ziheng will definitely be fine. He will have a bright future in the future. Yun Chujo added secretly. She was waiting for her to lure him into her pirate ship. He would naturally have a bright future. Spiritual Master Yen TSK. She had finally found a treasure. It was said that Spiritual Master Yen might not appear once in tens of thousands of years, but she had actually met him. Her luck was really out of this world. Manager Sun sighed when he heard that. Miss Dawn, to be honest, I don't expect anything earth-shattering from Ziheng. As long as he is safe and sound, I will be satisfied as a mother. Yun Chujo nodded and sighed in her heart. What a pity for parents. However, where were her terrible foster parents and her biological parents who did not know who they were? The two of them chatted for a while more before they put out the candles and went to bed. Yun Chujo waited until Manager Sun fell asleep before she took out her voice transmission talisman. However, she was disappointed that there was still no response. Could it be that she couldn't even do it in the dormitory area? Yun Chujo thought of the terrible incident that Ziheng had mentioned. Her head was spinning rapidly. What exactly would happen? Yun Chujia's head was hurting from thinking. She couldn't think of any clues, so she simply stopped thinking and closed her eyes to sleep. The next morning, Manager Sun woke Yun Chujo up. The two of them washed up and went to the canteen. As soon as they arrived at the canteen, they saw Lan Xiang coming up to them with two big dark circles under her eyes. Dawn, where did you go last night? You didn't even come home last night. I have already reported it to Manager Lu. Just wait to be punished. Thank you for your concern, Sister Lan Xiang. I stayed at Manager Sun's place last night, Yun Chujo said submissively. Lan Xiang was stunned. She originally thought that Yun Chujo was with Chuhu last night. She didn't expect that she would go to Manager Sun's place. Manager Sun, this damn woman, really meddled in other people's business. No wonder her son's leg was crippled. This was karma. With Manager Sun's protection and the fact that the big kitchen was especially busy today, Manager Lu only scolded Yun Chujo a few times before asking her to hurry up and start the fire. Yun Chujo was initially worried that Chuhu would come and find trouble with her again, but she did not expect Chuhu to only glare at her when he came to fetch the food. He did not ask her to deliver the food again. Yun Chujo heaved a sigh of relief in her heart. Although she wanted to kill Chuhu to avenge Dawn, now was not the time. It would be terrible if she was exposed. Just as Yun Chujo heaved a sigh of relief, she did not expect someone to say from outside the canteen, Dawn, Miss wants to see you. Come with me. Yun Chujia's head buzzed. Fuck, whatever she was afraid of came true. Qin Mingzhu, that little bitch, was as smart as a monkey with a tail. If she was in front of her, she would definitely be exposed. What should she do? Dawn, do you want to die? Come out quickly. The people outside seemed to be impatient from waiting. Yun Chujo had no choice but to walk out of the canteen. A beautiful maid stood outside. When she saw Yun Chujo coming out, she was stunned. She pursed her lips. Io, the great beauty from back then, actually had such a dusty face? She doesn't even dare to show her face? That's right, if you show your face, I'm afraid you'll scare people to death. Let's see how you can seduce people this time. Let's go, the eldest miss specifically asked to see you. She'll definitely reward you with a lot of good things. Although Yun Chujo really didn't want to follow them, she couldn't think of any good ideas at the moment. She could only follow the maid and leave the dining hall obediently. This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. Dawn, what are you waiting for? Could it be that you don't want to see the young miss? You ungrateful thing. If it wasn't for the young miss' kindness, a slut like you would have been cut into 1,000 pieces. The maid did not know what kind of grudge she had with Dawn. Her words were extremely humiliating. Yun Chujo thought that she was listening to the barking of a dog, and kept thinking of ways to escape. She definitely could not go to see Qin Mingzhu. After seeing her, there was a 99% chance that she would be exposed. If she was recognized by Qin Mingzhu, she would definitely kill her. However, how could she escape? Feign illness? Unless she was dead, this maid would definitely not let it go. How about she knock this little bitch unconscious and activate the concealment talisman? No, this was too risky. The concealment talisman had no effect on people with spiritual venerable cultivation. Just as Yun Chujo was thinking of a way to escape, She heard the maid say with ill intentions, Dawn, do you know why the young miss is looking for you? Yun Chujo shook her head. I don't know. The servant girl heard Yun Chujio's rough voice. She could not help but twitch her lips. Her voice is really unpleasant. You'd better stop talking. To tell you the truth, Miss is preparing to give you to the new son-in-law. This is a great thing. You don't have to return to this canteen anymore. After the engagement, you can follow the son-in-law. Yun Chujio was stunned. This Qin Mingzhu was really crazy. Giving her fiancé a disfigured maid with a ruined voice? Yin Xuecheng would probably be so angry that he would vomit blood. She did not know how this Dayo offended Qin Mingzhu. According to Yin Zucheng's temper, he would definitely kill Dayo when he saw Qin Mingzhu giving him such a maid. The maid continued to say proudly, Dayo, are you so happy that you're stupid? Such a good thing shouldn't have happened to you. But who told you to be the most trusted servant girl of the young miss? If the young miss has something good, she would naturally think of you. Yun Chujio sneered in her heart. Something good? It was likely that Qin Mingzhu wanted to torture this Dawn properly. Instead of killing him all at once, she had to torture him in all sorts of ways. How vicious! Yun Chujio was frowning when she saw Chu Hu walking towards her. She suddenly had an idea. She raised her voice and said to the servant girl, Young miss, are you really going to give me to the son-in-law? Humph! What? Are you a slut? Let's go. After meeting the young miss, you can go and serve the son-in-law tonight. The servant girl said disdainfully, but there was a hint of jealousy in her words. Yun Chujio felt that the servant girl's brain was probably not working. Could it be that she also wanted to serve Yin Xuecheng? Wasn't she afraid that the little bitch Qin Mingzhu would do her? How stupid! Chu Hu clearly heard the conversation between the two of them, and his eyes revealed a malicious and cold light. Zhu Shan, what did you say just now? Junior sister wants to give daybreak to Yin Xuecheng? When the servant girl Zhu Shan saw that it was Chu Hu, she said gently, Senior brother Chu Hu, you are right. The eldest miss wants to give this bitch to her son-in-law. Chu Hu was indifferent to Zhu Shan's flattery and looked at Yun Chujio. He saw that Yun Chujio's eyes were no longer submissive, but full of provocation and contempt. Chu Hu was instantly angry. Zhu Shan, I have something to tell Xiao Xiao. I will explain it to junior sister. Xiao Xiao, come with me. Chu Hu did not wait for Zhu Shan to react and dragged Yun Chujio away. Zhu Shan stomped her feet angrily and had to go back to report to Qin Mingzhu. This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. Qin Mingzhu's face did not show the joy of being engaged. This marriage was a complete humiliation. Yun Chujio, bitch, I won't forgive you. Miss Senior Brother Chu who kidnapped someone on the way here with me. Zhu Shan braced herself and reported. Qin Mingzhu was stunned. Senior Brother Chu who kidnapped someone? Yes, Senior Brother Chu who said that he would explain it to you personally. He directly dragged away Dawn. I didn't dare to stop him. Zhu Shan was afraid that Qin Mingzhu would vent her anger on her, so she said carefully. Qin Mingzhu snorted coldly. I didn't expect that Daybreak could actually seduce a man with his disfigured face. Since Senior Brother Chu who likes him, then let him be. When he gets tired of playing with him, that bitch won't be able to live anymore. When Zhu Shan heard Qin Mingzhu's words, she heaved a sigh of relief in her heart. On the other side, Yun Chujio was dragged by Chu Hu all the way forward. Yun Chujio wished that she could chop off the hand that Chu Hu dragged her. It was not easy for her to suppress the urge to kill. Chu Hu dragged Yun Chujio all the way to a room. Yun Chujio's eyes flashed. Damn it, if this Chu Hu wanted to do it forcefully, she could only kill him. Chu Hu stared at Yun Chujio maliciously. Bitch, you actually let that idiot replace you last time. This time you want to climb up the social ladder? Let me tell you, don't even think about escaping from my hands. After saying that, Chu Hu started to take off his outer clothes. Yun Chujio gathered her spiritual power in her right hand, and just as she was about to order the little black bird to curse, Chu Hu's identity jade token started to tremble. Chu Hu cursed in his heart. After sending his spiritual sense in, he cursed a few more times, and then said, "Bitch, you wait here obediently for me. If you dare to run, it'll make your life a living hell." Chuhu gave Yun Chujo a warning before walking out. Yun Chujo saw that Chuhu's identity jade token could transmit messages, so the voice transmission talisman should be useful as well. Hence, she took out the voice transmission talisman and prepared to send a message to Di Biming. However, what made her depressed was that the voice transmission talisman still could not be sent out. It was simply fucking ridiculous. Yun Chujo naturally would not sit around and wait for death. She carefully walked out of the house. Although the courtyard had a protective array, such a low-level protective array still could not stop Yun Chujo. After Yun Chujo activated the isolation array, she used a small purple needle to attack a point. After a few explosive sounds, the protective array was opened. When Yun Chujo was swept over, she had already observed everything. This place was very close to the desolate land, so after she activated the concealment talisman, she headed straight for the desolate land. Yun Chujo carefully hid her tracks along the way. Although she met a few people, they weren't at the level of a spirit paragon. She smoothly arrived at the desolate land. Yun Chujo gritted her teeth and fixed herself to the well wall with sticky threads. She also covered the well with a stone slab. She thought to herself, even in her dreams, that Chuhu would never think that she would hide in a place where she almost lost her life. The most dangerous place was the safest place. About 2 hours later, the sound of footsteps came from outside. In order to be safe, Yun Chujo not only activated the concealment talisman, but also buried her entire body in the mud. She held a hollow straw in her mouth to breathe. Not long after, someone moved the stone slab at the mouth of the well. It was Chuhu. Chuhu looked into the well and found that there was no one inside, but he still shot a few wind blades at the mud. Yun Chujo cursed in her heart. Damn it, fortunately I have a defensive spirit tool on me, and it is deep enough. Otherwise, I will definitely be hacked to death. Bastard, just you wait, I will not forgive you. Chuhu hacked a few times to see that there was nothing unusual. Then, he covered the slate again and left in anger. Yun Chujo did not dare to move. Who knew if Chuhu would come back? After a while, Yun Chujo carefully poked her head out and breathed in the fresh air. She was a cultivator. If she were an ordinary person, she would have fainted long ago. Yun Chujo did not dare to act rashly. She decided to stay in the well. Tomorrow was the engagement ceremony. She would go out at noon. When that time came, they would be eating and drinking. It would be easier for her to sneak in. Therefore, she did not care about the dirty smell of the mud. She stuck herself in the mud to endure the time. Chuhu looked around but could not find Yun Chujo. He was furious. However, Qin Xiao had arranged other things for him. He could only put the matter of finding Yun Chujo aside for the time being. After all, it was impossible for her to escape from the Guiyuan sect. He would settle the score with her after he was done with the important matters. The next day, the Guiyuan sect was very lively. Many guests had arrived at the towns near the Guiyuan sect in advance. They had only arrived at the Guiyuan sect this morning one after another. As there were too many people, the engagement ceremony was arranged on a large square in the Guiyuan sect. A round stage had already been set up on top of it to hold the ceremony. The guests who had arrived took their seats according to their status. Almost all the influential people in the Tianyuan continent had arrived. After all, the status of the engagement party was quite high. Those who received the invitation had to give face. The engagement ceremony began in an orderly manner. The only thing that was out of place was that Qin Mingzhu did not smile the entire time. Anyone could tell that she was unwilling to do so. Yin Shueqing hated her in his heart. Bitch, you have already been fucked by me and you still have such a dead face. Just you wait. When you enter our Yin family in the future, you will see how I will deal with you. An hour later, the engagement ceremony ended. Qin Yixiao and Yin Qinghua exchanged a few simple words before the banquet began. Qin Yixiao, Yin Qinghua, Yin Qingba and the others kept toasting Di Linhan and the others. Di Linhan and the others could not be too evasive. Besides, they could just use their spirit energy to neutralize the alcohol. Moreover, this was the Guiyuan sect. There would not be any danger. Hence, in a short period of time, toasts were exchanged, and the host and guests enjoyed themselves. It was a lively scene. Qin Yixiao, Yin Qinghua, and the others, however, had a cunning look in their eyes. After 30 years of wine and 5 different dishes, many people were prepared to stand up and take their leave. They never expected that there would be many Yin family guards and Guoyuan sect disciples around the square. Qin Yixiao said coldly, "Everyone, since you are here, don't be in a hurry to go back. Stay in Guoyuan sect for a few more days. Don't worry, Guoyuan sect will definitely entertain everyone with good wine and good food." "Qin Yixiao, what do you mean?" Medicine Valleys Bai Li asked unhappily. "It's just a literal meaning. None of you can think of leaving today." Yin Qinghua stood beside Qin Yixiao and sneered. Di Linhan frowned. "Sect Master Qin, Patriarch Yin, if there's anything we need to discuss, we can discuss it properly. There's no need for such a ruckus. Besides, can you disciples stop so many of us? Discuss properly?" Di Linhan, when your Temple of Immortals forced our Yin clan to give up 1/10 of our share of the Spirit Stone mine, why didn't you discuss it properly with us? To tell you the truth, none of you can think of leaving today." Yin Qinghua said arrogantly. Di Linhan said indifferently, "Then let's see if you can stop us." As Di Linhan spoke, he gave a look to Towering Angel Bai Li. The two of them went straight for Qin Yixiao and Yin Qinghua. If they wanted to capture a thief, they had to capture the leader first. If they could capture these two people, those subordinates would not be a threat. At the same time that Di Linhan and Bai Li made their move, Din Huangfu and Shueli also made their move. Their thoughts were the same as Di Linhan's. They wanted to take down Qin Yixiao and Yin Qinghua first. Qin Yixiao and Yin Qinghua were obviously prepared. They suddenly jumped back and Di Linhan and the other two were blocked by an invisible barrier. "Ha ha ha! Do you think that we are so brainless? Do you think that we will allow you to resist? This is our Yin family's strange dragon trap formation. Your struggles are futile." Yin Qinghua laughed maniacally. The people who were trapped were naturally cursing loudly. The more they acted like this, the more Qin Yixiao and Yin Qinghua were pleased with themselves. From now on, the powers of the Tianyuan continent would have to be redivided, and they would no longer be suppressed by the Temple of Immortals. Di Linhan and the others waved their hands to signal for everyone to calm down. Since they had already fallen into the trap, it was better to think of a way to break the array now. Someone took out a voice transmission talisman to inform the secret guards and his family, but found that the voice transmission talisman was not usable at all. He cursed angrily. It seemed that the Guoyuan sect and Yin family had already made preparations. How sinister! What was even more sinister was still to come. Everyone was horrified to find that their heads were dizzy, and their eyelids were getting heavier. Everyone relied on the pain of self-mutilation to get rid of the sleepiness, but the spirit energy in their bodies was actually rapidly disappearing. Bai Li Qingtian turned pale with fright. As the medicine king of the Tianyuan continent, he had actually been poisoned. This was simply a great humiliation. Bai Li Qingtian hurriedly took out an antidote for the spirit-devouring powder and swallowed it, but it was completely ineffective. Di Linhan's heart instantly sank. He thought of the matter with the Hall of Immortals. Could it be the Netherworld powder? But the Netherworld powder was the Netherworld Hall's knockout drug. How could Qin Yixiao and Yin Qinghua have it? "Qin Yixiao, where did you come from with this Netherworld elixir? Could it be that the two of you have colluded with the Netherworld Palace?" Di Linhan decided to bluff. Qin Yixiao was stunned at first, he then sneered. "I didn't expect you to have such discerning eyes. That's right, this is the Netherworld elixir. Since you have already discovered it, there is nothing to hide. Our Guoyuan sect and the Yin family have already formed an alliance with the Netherworld Palace. After your forces have collapsed, we will redraw the boundaries of our forces." What? Guoyuan sect and Yin family had actually colluded with the Netherworld Hall? Qin Yixiao, Yin Qinghua, do you still have any sense of shame? As people of the Tianyuan continent, you actually colluded with the Netherworld Hall. You are making an enemy out of everyone in the Tianyuan continent. Shueli cursed loudly. In Qinghua sneered, "There is no eternal enemy. We are just doing it for benefits. Cut the crap. If you know what's good for you, you will surrender obediently. Fuck your bullshit. Your conspiracy will not succeed. Sooner or later you will be punished. You will die a horrible death. You are the sinners of the Tianyuan continent." In Qinghua's old face turned red from Shueli's scolding. He gritted his teeth and said, "Shueli, go ahead and scold as much as you want. When all of your spiritual powers have dissipated, you will no longer have the slightest ability to resist. When that time comes, I will use you as hostages to threaten your respective powers. Let's see how you can continue to be so arrogant." Shueli cursed a few more words and then discussed the countermeasures with Di Linhan and the others. Although some of the trap people were proficient in arrays, but the Yin family's dragon trapping strange gate array was extremely complicated, and there was no way to break it in a short period of time. The worst thing was that their spiritual powers were rapidly dissipating. Even if they could break the array, they would probably have no choice but to surrender at that time. Time passed quickly and the spiritual powers of Di Linhan and the others were dissipating rapidly, but they still had not come up with any good ideas. Right at this moment, several hundred black-clothed men arrived, all dressed in the uniform of the people of the Netherworld Hall. The person in the lead cupped his hands towards Qin Yixiao and Yin Qinghua. "Sect Master Qin, Patriarch Yin, it looks like we are about to succeed. As long as we capture these people, we will be able to defeat these forces one by one. Dharma Protector Zhao. This is all thanks to the Netherworld elixir that you provided. That old fool by Li Qingtian has always considered himself to be the medicine king. Who would have thought that he would fall into the trap so easily? It really makes people laugh." Yin Qingba said smugly. Bai Li Qingshan's face was flushed red. Although after the previous attack on the Temple of Immortals, Di Linhan had given him some Netherworld elixir for research, but after such a long time, he still had not been able to find a way to break it. "I estimate that in another 15 minutes, the spiritual power of these people will dissipate completely. After capturing them alive, we will imprison their spiritual power and feed them the devouring spirit elixir. Our people will watch over them." A trace of cunning flashed in Dharma Protector Zhao's eyes. It was obvious that he was on guard against what Qin Yixiao and Yin Qinghua were up to. Although Qin Yixiao and Yin Qinghua were a little displeased, they could only agree. After all, they were in the stage of cooperation, and it would not be good for them to shed all pretense of cordiality. "Have you controlled the people they brought? I'll leave those people to you to guard." Dharma Protector Zhao continued. "Don't worry, none of them can escape. Dharma Protector Zhao, these people are now like fish in a barrel. Can we withdraw the sound-blocking array now? This way we can communicate with the outside world," Yin Qinghua asked. Dharma Protector Zhao nodded. "Well, withdraw after we capture them all." Sect Leader Qin. "Will there be any problems with the disciples and servants of your Guiyuan sect?" Qin Yixiao said with a conceited smile. "Dharma Protector Zhao, don't worry. Even if they were given 100 guts, they wouldn't dare to betray our Guiyuan sect." No one noticed that there was a person lying on the roof not far from the square. That person was wearing a veil and his eyes were rolling around. It was Yun Chuzhou who had just crawled out of the dry well. Yun Chuzhou should have come over a long time ago, but this fellow had overslept, so she was an hour later than she had planned. After exiting the dry well, she did not use her concealment talisman and just swaggered towards the plaza. Because this fellow was very certain in his heart that Chu Hu must be extremely busy, and would not be able to catch her. Moreover, even if they were to fall out, there was still Di Linhan. She was not afraid. But after walking for a while, she realized that something was not right. She had not met a single servant on the way. Logically speaking, even if she was very busy, she should not have been unable to meet anyone. Could it be that there was something unusual? Thinking of this, Yun Chuzhou immediately activated the concealment talisman and took off the spirit concealment ring on her hand. She then carefully walked towards the plaza. From afar, she could see a large group of people, and there were also sounds of shouting and cursing. Yun Chuzhou rolled her eyes and circled to the back of a house. After jumping on the roof, she carefully peeked. Although she was a little far away and could not hear what they were talking about, Yun Chujo quickly figured out what had happened. Then she thought of the sound transmission talisman's failure in the courtyard that Chu Hu had once entered. She guessed it right in her heart. She did not expect that Guiyuan sect and Yin family would actually collude with the Netherworld Palace. They were really stupid. The Netherworld Palace was only using them. Once they had a foothold, they would definitely kill both of their families. It was like asking a tiger for its skin. However, how could they resolve the current predicament? This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. Yun Chujo racked her brains to think of a way to break the formation. Should she rush down to save them? Stop talking nonsense. If she went down, she would be walking into a trap. Moreover, those people who were trapped seemed to have used up all their spiritual power. Even if they really opened the formation, they would still be a burden. She had to think long-term. Yun Chujo rolled her eyes and decided that she had to hide under the identity of Daybreak. As for that bastard Chu Hu, she would just have to deal with him when the time came. Moreover, he might not have the time to find trouble with her now. Thinking of this, Yun Chujo quietly climbed down from the roof and sneaked near the canteen. She listened for a while and heard voices inside the canteen. She walked in submissively. Lan Xiang was the first to see Yun Chujo. She immediately rushed over and cursed, "You bastard! Yesterday, senior brother Chu Hu was looking for you everywhere. Where did you go? You really know how to be lazy. You came back after we finished our work." Yun Chujo lowered her head and said hesitantly, I was afraid of senior brother Chu Hu, so I hid." Lan Xiang pursed her lips. She believed what Yun Chujo said because she did not cherish such a good opportunity last time. This ugly monster must have a problem with his brain. Manager Lu also scolded Yun Chujo fiercely and then shouted, "Hurry up and work. The higher-ups have ordered to hold a celebration banquet. Hurry up." Yun Chujo apologized and then started to build a fire. Where there were people, there would be gossip. The canteen was quiet for a while. And when Manager Lu went out, they all started to talk again. What's going on? What celebration banquet? Isn't today a good day for the engagement of the eldest miss? Yeah, and they don't let us walk around. It's really strange. Who knows what's going on? In any case, let's just do our jobs honestly. While everyone was discussing, Manager Lu came in from outside, and Chu Hu followed him in. Chu Hu immediately saw Yun Chujo beside the stove, and he stared at her with a malicious gaze. Then, he said to the people in the cafeteria, "From today onwards, Guiyuan sect will activate the sect protection formation. Without the sect leader's token, Guiyuan sect is not allowed to enter or leave. All of you are not allowed to go anywhere else except the cafeteria and the dormitory. Otherwise, you will be killed without mercy. Do you understand?" Although everyone was puzzled, they all nodded in agreement. Chu Hu looked at Yun Chujo a few more times, snorted coldly, and walked out. Manager Lu accompanied him with a smile as he walked out. Everyone immediately exploded. What's going on? Why is the sect protection formation activated all of a sudden? Could it be that a strong enemy is attacking? That's not right. If there's a strong enemy attacking, then we shouldn't have held a celebratory feast. That's true. Then what's going on? We'll know when they come to collect their meal. Let's get to work first. Yun Chujia's eyes flashed. Chu Hu did not cause her any trouble just now. It seemed that she was right to block him. He must have a lot of things to do and would not be able to take care of her for the time being. However, the sect protection formation was already activated. It would be very difficult for her to go out and report the news. It seemed that she could only save him. Just as Yun Chujo was thinking about it, the voice transmission talisman in her storage ring started to vibrate. Yun Chujia's heart was filled with joy. It seemed that the voice transmission talisman could be used. This was great. This way, she could send a message to the pretty boy and the black chicken head. Although Yun Chujo wanted to use the voice transmission talisman to send messages right away, she was afraid that others would find out. She could only endure it and wait for an opportunity to find out who sent the voice transmission talisman at night before sending the message. The people in the canteen soon found out the truth of the matter. They were all extremely shocked. What? Their Gue Yuan sect and the Yin family had actually formed an alliance with the Netherworld Palace? Hasn't our Tianyuan continent always been at odds with the Netherworld continent? Wouldn't this be making an enemy out of everyone in the Tianyuan continent? However, after discussing it for a while, they were forced to accept the truth. Those mighty figures had been captured. What was the use of their willingness? It was more important to work hard and keep their lives. Finally, at night, Yun Chuzhou returned to the dormitory. Lan Xiang was still cursing and swearing. Yun Chuzhou's eyes darkened. When she turned around, she directly chopped her unconscious with a hand knife. Yun Chuzhou opened the isolation array and quickly took out the sound transmission talisman. After sending her divine sense in, Di Biming's anxious voice came from inside. "Little Zhou, where are you? Have you already left the forbidden area?" Yun Chuzhou briefly explained the matter, then said, "Prince Charming, quickly organize some people to come over. I will think of a way to save the hostages and destroy the protective array of the Gue Yuan sect. Little Zhou, remember not to be rash. Your safety is the most important thing. Since they want to use my father and the others as hostages, then they will not harm their lives. So don't force yourself. Shui Wuji and I will think of a way to save them." Di Biming warned. "Prince Charming, don't worry. I cherish my life. I won't do anything reckless," Yun Chuzhou said with a smile. After Yun Chuzhou put away the voice transmission talisman, she calculated that it would take about 4 days for the pretty boy and Wu Ji to rush here. What she needed to do first was to find out where they were locked up, and the location of the core of the sect protecting array. It was not difficult to find out the location of the hostages. There would always be clues for the people who received the food. However, the core of the sect protection formation would probably take some effort. Yun Chuzhou calculated for a while and got Lan Xiang onto the bed. Then she fell asleep in a daze. The next day, after Lan Xiang woke up, she shouted fiercely, "Bitch, did you do something yesterday? Why did I suddenly pass out?" Yun Chuzhou said hesitantly, "I don't know what happened, but you suddenly passed out. Are you too tired?" Lan Xiang stared at Yun Chuzhou and felt that Yun Chuzhou would not have the courage to hit her. Perhaps she was really too tired? Lan Xiang scolded a few more words, and the two of them washed up and went to the canteen to work. Yun Chuzhou observed the disciples and maids who came to receive the meal and gathered some useful information. Damn it! Those people from the Netherworld Palace are really hard to please. Each of them is like a master who treats them with good food and drinks, yet they are still picky. Only senior brother Chu who has a good temper. If it were me, I would have turned hostile long ago. A disciple who came to receive the meal said in dissatisfaction. Alright, stop complaining. What's the use of saying this? Senior brother Chu who didn't say anything, so what's the use of us being dissatisfied? Besides, they are guarding the important figures, so their status is naturally different. TCH. Those big shots are just so weren't they all obediently captured? Just feeding them a few fasting pills every day, how miserable. Yun Chuzhou's eyes flashed. It seemed that Di Linhan and the others were not locked together with the secret guards, and were being guarded by the people from the Hall of the Netherworld and Chu Hu. This gave her an opportunity to take advantage of, and she had to make a good plan. Another 2 days had passed. Yun Chuzhou had already figured out the place where Di Linhan and the rest were imprisoned and the secret guards were. However, she did not know where the eye of the array was. Yun Chuzhou gritted her teeth. Seemed that the breakthrough was on Chu Hu. He was Qin Yixio's personal disciple, and he definitely knew where the eye of the array was. She had to think of a way to control him. That evening when she got off work, Yun Chuzhou found a catalyst and went to the courtyard where Chu Hu had held her hostage. Although she was not sure if Chu-Hu lived here, she might be able to gain something. Yun Chujo walked a few rounds outside the courtyard, but she did not see Chu-Hu. Yun Chujo rolled her eyes through one of her veils on the ground and returned to the dormitory. When Lan Xiang saw that Yun Chujo had returned, she naturally spoke coldly. As usual, Yun Chujo treated her like a dog barking. Her expression did not change, but in her heart, she was planning her next step. Unexpectedly, an hour later, someone directly broke into the house. It was Chu-Hu. Chu-Hu had a cold smile on the corner of his mouth. He went forward and grabbed Yun Chuji's arm. "Dawn, I didn't expect you to play the game of playing hard to get with me. Come with me." Yun Chujo pretended to struggle a few times and was dragged away by Chu-Hu. Lan Xiang spat at the ground. "Pretentious bitch." Chu-Hu dragged Yun Chujo directly to the courtyard. After entering, he threw Yun Chujo on the bed. Then, he took out a veil from his storage ring. "I found this at the entrance of the courtyard. What are you doing outside my courtyard?" Yun Chujo lowered her head slightly and said shyly, I have thought it through. You are much better than that Yin Shueching. I would rather follow you." Chu-Hu was stunned at first, then he laughed wildly. Daybreak, I didn't expect you to finally give in. Back then I tried so hard to please you but you didn't even care. Yet, you were moved by a D-biming that you had never met before. TSK, you know your junior sister's character, but you actually dared to like D-biming. You are really courting death. Now that your face has been disfigured and your throat has been damaged, how about you think of me? Bitch, let me tell you, you are just a plaything of mine. Be good and obedient. I won't mistreat you. If you play tricks on me, I will kill you. Yes, I will definitely serve you well. Fuck, I will serve you to hell. Chu-Hu was very proud. You are tactful. To tell you the truth, I am going to soar to great heights very soon. Maybe I can help you recover your appearance. All of this depends on your performance. Senior brother Chu-Hu, then let's rest. Chu-Hu grinned hideously as he took off his clothes. When he was halfway through taking off his clothes, he suddenly staggered. Then, several small purple needles shot at him. Following the sound of explosions, Chu-Hu cried out in pain. This Chu-Hu could be considered to have tied himself in a cocoon. He was afraid that Yun Chuji's cry would attract other people, so he activated the isolation array, which happened to help Yun Chujo. Yun Chujo wanted to ask the location of the array core, but the location of the small purple needle was not a vital point. Therefore, even though Chu-Hu's body was covered in blood from the explosion, it was not to the extent of losing his life. Yun Chujo restrained Chu-Hu's spiritual power and tied him up with a rope. Yun Chujo held the large kitchen knife and sneered, "You want to take advantage of me? You're really courting death. Tell me, where is the array core of your sect protection array?" This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. You are not Daybreak? Chu-Hu heard Yun Chuji's voice was no longer dark. He thought of some things and finally realized that the person in front of him was a fake. Of course I am not Daybreak. You have already killed Daybreak. I am her vengeful spirit, and I am here to seek revenge. Yun Chujo said sinisterly. Chu-Hu sneered. You don't have to play tricks. Let me go quickly, or else you won't be able to recover. Is there something wrong with your head? If I let you go, why would I arrest you? Cut the crap. Where's the formation's eye? Yun Chujo took the large kitchen knife and cut Chu-Hu's arm. Chu-Hu was in so much pain that he cried like a ghost and howled like a wolf. However, he did not spit. Yun Chujo was so angry that she cut him a few more times. Chu-Hu fainted from the pain, but he didn't spit. He knew that once he said it, he would be of no use anymore, and Yun Chujo would kill him. Yun Chujo was secretly resentful. Damn it, she wasn't a spirit paragon yet, so there was no way to search his soul. How could she make him spit? Yun Chujo rolled her eyes. Got it. She didn't know the soul-searching technique, but she knew hypnosis. Although the effect wasn't as good as the soul-searching technique, it shouldn't be a problem to let Xiaohong help. Yun Chujo brought Xiaohong out and then splashed cold water on Chu-Hu to wake him up. Chu Hu was already seriously injured, and with the seductive voice of Xiao Hong, Yun Chuzhou tried a few times and finally succeeded in hypnotizing him. Where is the array I of the Gue Yuan sect protection array? It's in the secret room of Junior Sister's bedroom. Yun Chuzhou couldn't help but be stunned. Fuck. What a pervert. He had actually set the formation's eye in Qin Ming's bedroom, but this was indeed unexpected. How many people are guarding the place where Di Linhan and the others are being held? About 400 people. All of them are from the Netherworld Palace. How many people are guarding the place where those secret guards are being held? About 200 people, guarded by our Gue Yuan sect. Yun Chuzhou had asked enough questions, so she directly killed Chu Hu. She picked up Chu Hu's identity jade token and storage ring, and then asked the little black bird to destroy the evidence. Yun Chuzhou pondered for a moment. Apparently, she should be more relaxed about the guards of the secret guards. She would first think of a way to save them, and then make further plans. Otherwise, she would not be able to do it alone, no matter how talented she was. Xiao Hanio could not help but curse in its heart. At this time, its narcissistic master still did not forget to praise itself. There was really no one else. Yun Chuzhou came out of the courtyard, activated the concealment talisman, and walked towards the courtyard where the dark guards were imprisoned. Yun Chuzhou did not walk far before she met a group of patrolling disciples. Although Yun Chuzhou hid very quickly, she was still discovered by others. Obviously, among these people, there were disciples with the cultivation of spiritual venerable. Who are you? Come out quickly. Or else don't blame us for being rude. Someone shouted angrily. Yun Chuzhou thought for a moment and stood out from behind the bushes. She said submissively, "Yes, it's me." Some disciples recognized Yun Chuzhou. "This is Daybreak from the canteen." It turned out to be the Miss Personal Maid. Later, she was disfigured and sent to the canteen. The leader of the disciples frowned. "It's late at night. Why are you here instead of staying in the dormitory?" Yun Chuzhou lowered her head and said, It's senior brother Chu who wants to see me. I have no choice." Some of the disciples sneered. They said to the leader of the disciples, "Senior brother Zhu, you may not know this, but senior brother Chu Hu's taste is very unique. Recently, he has been very interested in this Daybreak. A few days ago, he was looking for her everywhere. This must have just become a good thing." The leading disciple curled his lips in disdain. "Senior brother Chu who is really romantic. He is still thinking about this matter at this time. Hurry back to the dormitory. This time I will give senior brother Chu Hu face. Next time I will not let you off." Yes, thank you." Yun Chuzhou thanked him and staggered away. After Yun Chuzhou ran for some distance, she activated the concealment talisman again, and continued to run towards the courtyard where the secret guards were imprisoned. Along the way, she encountered two more groups of patrolling people. Yun Chuzhou narrowly avoided them, and only after 2 hours did she approach the courtyard where the secret guards were imprisoned. Yun Chuzhou's initial thought was quite simple. She thought that it would be the same as the time at the Temple of Immortals, where she would think of a way to sneak in and rescue them. However, when she got close to them, she realized that her thoughts were too naive. Not counting the irregular patrolling disciples, that courtyard alone was surrounded by many Gue Yuan sect disciples. Moreover, Yun Chuzhou could not tell the cultivation base of some of them, so they must be at least at the 8th level of the Spirit Saint realm. It was almost impossible to sneak in and save her without her knowing. Most importantly, she did not have any helpers, so she had no time to spare. There was no chance for her to sneak in. It seemed that she had to think of another way. Yun Chuzhou squatted behind the bushes and thought hard. Finally, she came up with a bold idea. She quietly stood up and walked around for a distance before swaggering towards the courtyard. Soon, a disciple noticed Yun Chuzhou and shouted, "Stop! Who is it?" Yun Chuzhou said with a hoarse voice, "Senior brothers, I am here to deliver supper." "Deliver supper? Is there such a good thing?" the leader asked suspiciously. One of the disciples said, "Senior brother Gu, I know her. She is Daybreak from the canteen. Perhaps the higher-ups have worked too hard to meet us, so they sent us supper." Senior brother Gu still asked suspiciously. Who asked you to deliver it? Yun Chujo took out Chu Hu's token. It was senior brother Chu who arranged for manager Lu. He said that all of you have worked hard. The food at the Netherworld Hall is much better than yours. I feel a little guilty. That senior brother Gu had some doubts at first, but when he heard Yun Chujia's words, he believed her 90%. Firstly, he had Chu Hu's token, and secondly, this maid could not make up those words. Some of the disciples were already impatient. They shouted, Senior brother Gu, we already have senior brother Chu's token, so it can't be bad. We are all hungry now. Dawn, hurry up and bring out the food. Seeing that senior brother Gu didn't say anything, Yun Chujo started to bring out the dishes one by one. She was glad that she had stored a lot of food from the Heavenly Yuan Academy's canteen. Otherwise, it would have been difficult to handle. When the disciples saw the steaming dishes, they immediately started to eat. Even senior brother Gu picked up his bowl and chopsticks and started to eat with the others. Yun Chujia's eyes flickered a few times. Eat it, eat it. This was her way of giving someone a taste of their own medicine. She remembered that the Netherworld elixir was found on the bodies of the people from the Netherworld Palace. Senior brothers, you guys eat. I'll leave first. I'll just send the cutlery back to the canteen tomorrow. Yun Chujo was afraid that these people would find out that something was wrong with her, so she found an excuse to escape. Of course, she would not run too far away. Instead, she took a detour and hid behind the bushes to secretly look outside. After about an hour, those people began to feel sleepy. However, they thought that it was already late at night, so they didn't doubt it. Yun Chujo knew that the opportunity had come. After she activated the concealment talisman, she quickly rushed over. The disciples were all sleepy. When they found Yun Chujo was already in front of them. Yun Chujo waved a big bag of sleeping powder at them. If it were any other time, these people wouldn't have been affected by the poison as they had spiritual energy on them. However, 70 to 80% of their spiritual energy had already disappeared. Furthermore, they weren't prepared for it, so more than a dozen of them had already fainted from the poison. Yun Chujo didn't want to continue fighting. She rushed into the courtyard through the opening. Those people naturally wouldn't let the matter rest. They chased after her in a hubbub. Yun Chujo released the three silly girls and Xiao Mogu. You guys hold on. I'll go in and save them. The three silly girls suddenly had a sense of mission. Although their spiritual power was not very high, these disciples were all hit by the Netherworld elixir, and only had 10 to 20% of their spiritual power left. It would not be a problem to stop them for a while. Moreover, Xiao Hanyo could attack from the air. Those disciples did not put the three little ones in their eyes. As for the Xiao Mogu, they did not see it. They thought it was just a edible mushroom that Yun Chujo had accidentally dropped. Xiao Hong roared and the disciples were slightly stunned. The Xiao Hanyo's fireball immediately attacked them. The Xiao He used its little claws to attack left and right, sending one flying with each claw. It was extremely efficient. Xiao Mogu secretly poked the mycelium out and entangled a few disciples. The disciples were shocked. Fuck! What the hell was this? They quickly used their spiritual power to attack Xiao Mogu's mycelium, trying to cut it off. Unfortunately, the effect was very weak. The spiritual power in their bodies was quickly absorbed by the mycelium, and even their bodies began to corrode. The disciples were immediately frightened to the point of wailing like ghosts and howling like wolves. Xiao Mogu was very cunning. Seeing that these people no longer had any power to resist, he simply let them go and then went to stop the disciples who wanted to enter the house. The disciples who were frightened by Xiao Mogu's release were scared out of their wits. They no longer dared to rush in. They ran out of the house in terror, and for a moment they were in a mess. While the fight was intense, Yun Chujo had already rushed into the room. There were hundreds of secret guards lying on the ground. They were probably fed with the spirit-devouring powder and sleeping powder. Yun Chujo poured a few basins of cold water on a few secret guards dressed in the Temple of Immortals. After feeding them the antidote for the spirit-devouring powder, she ordered, Quickly save the rest and follow me to rush out. Quick! We have to save those mighty figures before the others arrive. Those secret guards were a little dumbfounded. Who were those people? Why did they feel a little familiar? However, now was not the time to be stunned. They quickly woke up the others and fed them the antidote. They did not dare to delay. According to Yun Chujia's instructions, they rushed out and killed those people from the Guiyuan sect in less than 15 minutes. However, there were still people who escaped to deliver the letter. Yun Chujio also knew that it was impossible to seal the news. After all, those people still had their identity jade tokens, so they had to hurry up. Yun Chujio put away the 3 silly cuties and Xiao Mogu and led everyone towards the courtyard where Di Linhan and the others were being held. Yun Chujio felt that the veil on her face was getting in the way, so she simply tore it off. Only then did the secret guards of the Temple of Immortals realize, "Oh my god! Isn't this fairy Xiaojiu? What the hell was on her face? Was she disfigured?" Word spread like wildfire. Everyone knew that they had been saved by Yun Chujio. They didn't know why, but when they found out that the little girl in front of them was Yun Chujio, they immediately felt confident. Damn it, last time little fairy Jo alone was able to turn the tide. Now she can definitely bring us to save the sect leader. Certainly can. Yun Chujio ran as she distributed the supreme-grade explosive talismans to the secret guards. When the time comes, listen to my command. When I say explode, throw it out. Do you hear me? The secret guards of the Temple of Immortals were better off. The secret guards of the other forces looked at the thick pile of supreme-grade explosive talismans in their hands and felt that their worldview had been severely impacted. Emma, this little fairy Jo was indeed not human. Where did she get so many supreme-grade explosive talismans from? Could it be that she had drawn them all herself? This was just too perverse. Everyone quickly rushed to the courtyard where Di Linhan and the others were being held. Yun Chujio had everyone spread out and surrounded the entire courtyard to prevent the people from the Hall of the Netherworld from moving them. When the secret guards from the Hall of the Netherworld heard that there was a disturbance in the distance, they immediately stepped up their vigilance. Now that they saw Yun Chujio bringing people over, they immediately assumed a battle stance. Yun Chujio instructed Xiao He, Xiao Mogu, and Xiao Mogu to go underground under the cover of the dark guards. Come, let's give them a big fireworks display. Yun Chujio curled her lips and waved her hand. Following Yun Chujio's words, the dark guards threw the explosive talismans in their hands at the dark guards of the Netherworld Palace. Loud explosions rang out continuously. The Dark Shrine's dark guards did not expect these people to explode at the slightest disagreement. Although they did not kill many, most of them were injured and their imposing manner instantly weakened. The Dark Shrine's dark guards were originally full of confidence and planned to fight to the death with these dark guards. However, they did not expect them to not fight at all. They were all here with cheats. Dharma Protector Zhao was also a cunning old fox. He immediately ordered, "Bring those people over as hostages. I want to see if they still dare to make a move." Very quickly, Di Linhan and the rest were brought over by the dark guards of the Hall of the Netherworld. The people around the courtyard had also withdrawn, and the two sides were in a standoff. As it was nighttime and Yun Chujio had many fake scars on her face, Di Linhan and the rest did not recognize Yun Chujio. They were still wondering who this little girl was. Could it be that she was the one who rescued their secret guards? She was wearing the Guiyuan sect's uniform. Could it be that she could not stand the Guiyuan sect's way of doing things, so she acted righteously? Dharma Protector Zhao did not recognize her either. He sneered and said, "Who are you? Could it be that you are the Guiyuan sect's mole? I advise you to surrender obediently, or I will kill these hostages." Yo, are you trying to scare ghosts? Without these hostages, you are nothing. Without these hostages as a hostage, how can your Netherworld Hall conquer the Tianyuan continent? If you dare to kill these people, your Vice Palace Master Lu will skin you alive. Yun Chujio curled her lips and said mockingly. Only then did Di Linhan and the others recognize that it was Yun Chujio's voice, and their hearts were filled with mixed feelings. During the previous competition in the Burning Sky Plains, It was the little girl who descended from the sky to save the situation. This time it was this little girl who stood up again. Speaking of which, how did she come in? Di Linhan was even a little suspicious. Could it be that the little girl, little Jiu, was mischievous and had snuck in among his secret guards? Then how did she escape? Some people from the Netherworld Hall also recognized that it was Yun Chujia's voice, because some of them had been to the Burning Sky Mystic Realm before, and they immediately cried out in surprise, "Dharma Protector Zhao, this stinky little girl is Yun Chujio." Dharma Protector Zhao was stunned for a moment before he gritted his teeth and said, "So it's you. You are really the sworn enemy of our Netherworld Hall. Every time you come out to stir up trouble, today is the day you die. Bring Di Linhan here." This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. Di Linhan was pushed over and Dharma Protector Zhao said viciously, "Yun Chujio, surrender obediently or I will kill Di Linhan." The corners of Yun Chujia's mouth curled up. "Kill my uncle? Do you think I am a fool? My uncle is an important bargaining chip for you to use against my big brother Bei Ming in the future. If you kill my uncle, I guess your Vice Palace Master Lu will definitely reward you well. He might even reward you with 1,000 cuts." Dharma Protector Zhao had never seen such a threatened target before. Under normal circumstances, shouldn't she be obedient or angry out of humiliation? Why did Yun Chujio look like she didn't care? Most importantly, what she said was right. Dharma Protector Zhao really didn't dare to kill Di Linhan. Di Linhan was a very important hostage. If it weren't for him, it would have been impossible to capture the Temple of Immortals. Dharma Protector Zhao gritted his teeth and said, "Bring that old fool, Huangfu Zhongheng, here." "Yun Chujio, this Huangfu Zhongheng isn't that useful. If you don't surrender obediently, I'll kill him." Dharma Protector Zhao pointed his sword at Dean Huangfu and said. Yun Chujio had a shocked expression on her face. "Dharma Protector Zhao, are you out of your mind? TSK, I really don't know why Vice Palace Master Lu would give such an important task to you. Dean Huangfu isn't that useful? There are tens of thousands of students and teachers in the Tianyuan Institute. If you don't have Dean Huangfu, do you think those people would be obedient? Besides, only Dean Huangfu knows where all the treasures of the Tianyuan Institute are hidden. Are you sure you want to kill him?" Although Dharma Protector Zhao didn't want to admit it, he felt that Yun Chujia's words made sense. He really couldn't kill this Huangfu Zhongheng. Dharma Protector Zhao then changed a few hostages to threaten Yun Chujio, but they were all rejected by Yun Chujio with various reasons. Di Linhan and the others were stunned. The people from the Hall of the Netherworld were stunned. The hidden guards behind Yun Chujio were also stunned. They could still play like this. Dharma Protector Zhao held a group of hostages in his hands, but why did it feel like the initiative was always in Yun Chujia's hands? This was too illogical. Dharma Protector Zhao also realized that he had been brought into the ditch by Yun Chujio. He was so angry that his face turned red and his neck was thick as he said, "Yun Chujio, don't try to be clever. Although I can't kill them, but I can still chop off an arm or a leg. You better surrender now, or I will chop off one of Di Linhan's arms." "Chop off an arm, then I have to think about it. Give me some time, I will discuss it with them," Yun Chujio said in a fluster. Dharma Protector Zhao saw that Yun Chujio had finally revealed a flustered expression, and only then did he feel that he had regained some face. He said viciously, "I will at most give you half a quarter of an hour to think about it. If you do not surrender when the time is up, not only will I have to cut off Di Linhan's arm, the rest of you will also have one of your arms cut off." All right. We will discuss it right away. You must not be impulsive. Being impulsive is the devil. Once you make a decision out of impulse, the consequences will be unimaginable. That is why people must think twice before doing anything. Not only must you consider the cause, you must also consider the consequences. Yun Chujio rambled on and on about the topic of, "You cannot be impulsive." Dharma Protector Zhao didn't react at first, but by the time he did, Yun Chujio had already spoken for 15 minutes. He was so angry that he gritted his teeth. Yun Chujo, you are deliberately stalling for time. Hurry up and make a decision, or I will give the order to attack. This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. Dharma Protector Zhao. You're really impatient. When Qini Xiao and Yin Qinghua, those two old bastards, come, won't I be attacked from both sides? Am not even in a hurry. Why are you in such a hurry? Yun Chujo curled her lips. She began to discuss with the secret guards. Among those secret guards there were a few who reacted quickly. They deliberately went against Yun Chujo to stall for time. Little Fairy Jiu, although you saved our lives, we don't want to sacrifice ourselves for others. That's right. It wasn't easy for us to escape. We want surrender just because of these mighty figures. That makes sense. We only have one life. Compared to our lives, nothing else is important. Little Ninth Fairy, we don't agree to surrender. Yun Chujo pretended to be angry and said, how can you people not see the big picture? If these mighty figures die, how can we fight against the Netherworld Hall? The two sides argued non-stop and 15 minutes passed very quickly. Dharma Protector Zhao said with disdain, you people are really cowardly. You people of the Tianyuan continent are not only greedy but also cowardly. You shouldn't have taken such good resources from the Tianyuan continent. Yun Chujo raised her eyebrows. Dharma Protector Zhao, from what you said, you people of the Netherworld continent are very brave, right? If I took you as a hostage, wouldn't you beg for mercy? Humph. That's only natural. I would rather die than betray the Netherworld Palace. Cut the crap, what's your decision? Dharma Protector Zhao said with his lips curled up. Our decision is naturally to have it both ways. We will not surrender, but we will also save the person. Yun Chujo said with a smile. Dharma Protector Zhao could not help but laugh maniacally. Yun Chujo, are you talking in your sleep? Since you're so stubborn, someone come and chop off one of Di Linhan's arms. Di Linhan closed his eyes and thought to himself, what little Joe did was the right thing to do. It did not matter if he lost one of his arms, but if she were to surrender, then he would lose everything. What he did not expect was that Di Linhan did not feel the blade coming down, but instead heard a few cries of surprise. Di Linhan quickly opened his eyes to look and saw that Dharma Protector Zhao and the person who had been holding him were trapped by something. It seemed to be the mycelium of a mushroom. After Xiao Mogu restrained Dharma Protector Zhao and the others, it retreated to Yun Chujia's side and said, Master, my spiritual power is not going to be able to hold on much longer. You have to end the battle quickly. Yun Chujo immediately signaled for everyone to restrain the few people that they had captured. Yun Chujo used her knife to press on Dharma Protector Zhao's neck and said, Dharma Protector Zhao, you were speaking righteously just now. I wonder if you are still stubborn now. Dharma Protector Zhao never would have dreamed that a moment ago, he was still threatening Yun Chujo. In the blink of an eye, he had become a hostage. How was this possible? It was all this damn mushroom's doing. However, he was at the 5th level of the spiritual venerable realm. How could he be so easily captured by this unremarkable Xiao Mogu? Right, he seemed to have one foot pulled just now. Then he fell into the trap. What was it that pulled his foot? Seeing that Dharma Protector Zhao didn't say anything, Yun Chujo directly cut his back. Dharma Protector Zhao cried out in pain. Yun Chujo said fiercely, Get your men to release the hostages, or I'll kill you. Dharma Protector Zhao's eyes flickered. Yun Chujo, you don't dare to kill me. I'm your only bargaining chip. If you kill me, you'll have nothing to rely on. Chapter 1601. He wanted the 1600th octopus and the bear paw. Dharma Protector Zhao, you're really impatient. When Qini Xiao and Yin Qinghua, those two old bastards, come, won't I be attacked from both sides? I'm not even in a hurry. Why are you in such a hurry? Yun Chujo curled her lips. She began to discuss with the secret guards. Among those secret guards there were a few who reacted quickly. They deliberately went against Yun Chujo to stall for time. Little Fairy Jiu, although you saved our lives, We don't want to sacrifice ourselves for others. That's right. It wasn't easy for us to escape. We want surrender just because of these mighty figures. That makes sense. We only have one life. Compared to our lives, nothing else is important. Little Ninth Fairy, we don't agree to surrender. Yun Chujo pretended to be angry and said, "How can you people not see the big picture? If these mighty figures die, how can we fight against the Netherworld Hall?" The two sides argued nonstop and 15 minutes passed very quickly. Dharma Protector Zhao said with disdain, "You people are really cowardly. You people of the Tianyuan continent are not only greedy but also cowardly. You shouldn't have taken such good resources from the Tianyuan continent." Yun Chujo raised her eyebrows. Dharma Protector Zhao, from what you said, you people of the Netherworld continent are very brave, right? If I took you as a hostage, wouldn't you beg for mercy? Humph. That's only natural. I would rather die than betray the Netherworld Palace. Cut the crap, what's your decision? Dharma Protector Zhao said with his lips curled up. Our decision is naturally to have it both ways. We will not surrender, but we will also save the person. Yun Chujo said with a smile. Dharma Protector Zhao could not help but laugh maniacally. Yun Chujo, are you talking in your sleep? Since you're so stubborn, someone come and chop off one of Di Linhan's arms. Di Linhan closed his eyes and thought to himself, what little Zhou did was the right thing to do. It did not matter if he lost one of his arms, but if she were to surrender, then he would lose everything. What he did not expect was that Di Linhan did not feel the blade coming down, but instead heard a few cries of surprise. Di Linhan quickly opened his eyes to look and saw that Dharma Protector Zhao and the person who had been holding him were trapped by something. It seemed to be the mycelium of a mushroom. Please reading on myboxnovel.com. After Xiaomogu restrained Dharma Protector Zhao and the others, it retreated to Yun Chujia's side and said, Master, my spiritual power is not going to be able to hold on much longer. You have to end the battle quickly. Yun Chujio immediately signaled for everyone to restrain the few people that they had captured. Yun Chujio used her knife to press on Dharma Protector Zhao's neck and said, Dharma Protector Zhao, you were speaking righteously just now. I wonder if you are still stubborn now? Dharma Protector Zhao never would have dreamed that a moment ago. He was still threatening Yun Chujio. In the blink of an eye, he had become a hostage. How was this possible? It was all this damn mushroom's doing. However, he was at the 5th level of the spiritual venerable realm. How could he be so easily captured by this unremarkable Xiaomogu? Right, he seemed to have one foot pulled just now. Then he fell into the trap. What was it that pulled his foot? Seeing that Dharma Protector Zhao didn't say anything, Yun Chujio directly cut his back. Dharma Protector Zhao cried out in pain. Yun Chujio said fiercely, Get your men to release the hostages, or I'll kill you. Dharma Protector Zhao's eyes flickered. Yun Chujio, you don't dare to kill me. I'm your only bargaining chip. If you kill me, you'll have nothing to rely on. Oh, your IQ has gone up? I thought you didn't bring your brain with you. Yun Chujio said mockingly. Dharma Protector Zhao was so angry that he was twitching. It's not that my brain isn't working. It's that I've never met a pervert like you who doesn't play by the rules. How about this, let's make a deal. 1 for 1. I can release you, but you also have to release one of our hostages. You can discuss who you want to release. Yun Chujio said with a smile. Dharma Protector Zhao was delighted. This Yun Chujio was really smart and muddle-headed. As long as he was released, he could use other hostages to force her into submission. Thus he said, sure. Let's use sect leader me of the Setting Sun sect to exchange. Dharma Protector Zhao deliberately picked an unimportant hostage, but he didn't expect Yun Chujio to agree so readily. Sure. You guys untie the ropes on him. I'll untie the ropes on you too, and then release him at the same time. The people of the Netherworld Hall naturally had to listen to Dharma Protector Zhao. Seeing that Dharma Protector Zhao had agreed, they quickly untied the ropes on sect leader me of the Setting Sun sect. Both sides counted to 3 at the same time and began to exchange hostages. The people of the Netherworld Hall focused their attention on Dharma Protector Zhao and sect leader Mi. They were afraid that Yun Chuzhou would take the opportunity to do something. However, they did not realize that Xiao Mogu had disappeared without a trace. From afar, the sound of footsteps could be heard. It was obvious that Qin Yixiao and Yin Qinghua had already brought people over. The people of the Netherworld Palace were even more pleased with themselves. Once the reinforcements arrived, these people would definitely die, although it was a little dangerous. Fortunately, it was just a false alarm. Just as Dharma Protector Zhao and Sect Master Mi brushed past each other, Yun Chuzhou suddenly jumped up and aimed at Dharma Protector Zhao with a few little piglets of spiritual energy. Dharma Protector Zhao felt a spiritual power fluctuation behind him and hurriedly activated his defensive barrier. He then threw a palm strike at Yun Chuzhou. "Stinky girl. You actually didn't keep your word. Aren't you afraid that it'll kill those hostages?" Yun Chuzhou snorted coldly and threw out a few things. Before the people of the Netherworld Palace could see what they were, a few people guarding the hostages were entangled by Xiao Mogu's mycelium. At this moment they also saw clearly that Yun Chuzhou had thrown out 5 refined iron puppets. Those people were stunned at first. Weren't refined iron puppets used for defense when they were escaping? What was Yun Chuzhou doing with 5 puppets now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 protect the hostages. Don't just stand there. Go kill as many as you can. Yun Chuzhou said as she attacked Dharma Protector Zhao. Di Linhan and the others caught the antidote and stuffed it into their mouths. Their spiritual powers gradually recovered. Although they had only recovered a portion of their spiritual powers, the people from the Hall of the Netherworld could not hold on any longer and all of them fled in all directions. Dharma Protector Zhao saw that the situation had turned for the worse and gritted his teeth. With a feint he fled as well. Yun Chuzhou shouted, "Ignore them and quickly retreat into the courtyard. Stay alert around the courtyard and prepare for the next round of battle." The secret guards did not care whether their master agreed or not. They just spread out according to Yun Chuzhou's instructions and began to stand guard. Those mighty figures rubbed their noses. "All right, our subordinates have been subdued by the little girl in such a short time?" Before those mighty figures could say anything, Yun Chuzhou said, "Don't thank me yet. Quickly meditate and recover your spiritual power. I reckon that the Netherworld Hall won't be able to do so little. There must be a big move waiting for us." Those almighty experts had no choice but to start meditating and recuperating. In order to prevent them from escaping, they were given a lot more devouring spirit powder than those secret guards. Therefore, although they had taken the antidote, in order to recover to their best condition, they would need to recuperate for a period of time. Just as Yun Chuzhou finished giving her instructions, Qin Yixiao and Yin Qinghua led their disciples and surrounded the courtyard. Yun Chuzhou could not help but feel a bit of a toothache. The number of people on the opposite side was more than 10 times that of our side. Even if they were tired, they could exhaust us to death. Most importantly, this was Gue Yuan sect's territory. They had the geographical advantage, and our side was at a disadvantage everywhere. Qin Mingzhu followed behind Qin Yixiao. When she saw the clothes on Yun Chuzhou's body and the scars on her face, she immediately blurted out, "You pretended to be Dawn?" Yun Chuzhou giggled. "Qin Mingzhu, you are quite smart. Then I don't understand why such a smart person like you would do such a stupid thing. You guys have formed an alliance with the Netherworld Palace. Isn't this like asking a tiger for its skin? Aren't you guys afraid that the Netherworld Palace will not keep its word after the deed is done? If the powers like the Temple of Immortals do not perish, everyone will have to work together to fight against the Netherworld Palace. With just your Gue Yuan sect and Yin family, won't they be gnawed until not even bones are left?" Qin Mingzhu sneered. "Yun Chuzhou, you don't have to be so glib. You should mind your own business first. After what you've done, the only difference is that we have one more hostage. Do you think you can escape?" Yun Chuzhou rolled her eyes. "Tisk. Of course we can escape. The most important thing in a war is the essence, not the quantity. Let's not talk about you people. Just those trash from the Netherworld Palace are too weak. They can't even hold a hostage." Yet they still dare to dream of conquering our netherworld continent. They really overestimate themselves. Hearing Yun Chujia's words, Dharma Protector Zhao's eyes turned red. As if he was hesitating about something, Yun Chujio continued to say, and that Dharma Protector Zhao, he even called himself a Dharma Protector? Tui. Not only is his spiritual power low, but his brain is also not functioning properly. He's simply an idiot. I don't know how he became a Dharma Protector. Could it be that he bought it with money? Dharma Protector Zhao was silent for a moment with an inexplicable expression. Then, he smiled coldly and said, Yun Chujio, no wonder Vice Palace Master Lu said that you can't be underestimated. I really underestimated you. You really have a belly full of bad water. However, I'm afraid that you'll be disappointed. Now that our side has the absolute advantage, why do we need to bring out our trump card? Yun Chujio cursed in her heart. Damn it, he's still quite smart. They actually didn't fall for it. What was their trump card? This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. Yun Chujio felt that the people of the Netherworld Hall must have some big tricks up their sleeves. However, it was useless to provoke them, so she could only wait and see. Yun Chujio had just communicated with Di Biming. Di Biming and Xue Wuji would need at least half a day to reach the Gui Yuan sect, so they had to delay the time. Qin Yixiao and Yin Qinghua had also considered this point. They wanted to finish the battle as soon as possible, so they waved their hands and ordered to attack. Yun Chujio smiled coldly. Little ones, blow them up. I have plenty of explosive talismans here. Blow them all to death. Di Linhan and the others did not bother to adjust their breathing. They spread out and helped the hidden guards to guard the surroundings of the courtyard. With the explosive talismans and the attacks of Di Linhan and the others, the first wave of attacks from the Gui Yuan sect and the Yin family were blocked. Yin Qinghua smiled sinisterly. Continue to attack. I don't believe that the explosive talismans on their bodies cannot be used up. I'm sorry. I have hundreds of thousands of explosive talismans on me. Of course, what Yun Chujio said was not the truth. However, she just happened to have a batch of explosive talismans that she wanted to send to the Thunder sect so she could use them against the enemy. Although Qin Yixiao and Yin Qinghua did not believe that Yun Chujio really had so many explosive talismans, they were so angry that they gritted their teeth when they saw the endless supply of explosive talismans on Yun Chujio's side. Why did this wretched girl have so many talismans for no reason? It was really detestable. The second wave of attacks from the Gui Yuan sect and the Yin family were also blocked. Just as Qin Yixiao was about to launch the third wave of attacks immediately, flames soared into the sky from a distance. There were actually several places that were on fire. Qin Yixiao took a look and saw that the ones that were on fire were actually the library, the warehouse, and the living room. He stomped his feet anxiously and said, "Send half of our men to quickly put out the fire. Why is there a fire all of a sudden?" Yun Chujio was also puzzled. Although she had sent Xiao He out, she only asked it to think of a way to destroy the array core. Who was the one who set the fire? Yun Chujio suddenly had a thought. Could it be the potential stock that I invested in? It was most likely done by Ziheng. This kid was quite smart. He knew to surround Wei to save Zhao, but don't get caught. You are my future money tree and mascot. Don't die just like that. Yun Chujio rolled her eyes. She said loudly, "Disciples of the Gui Yuan sect and disciples of the Yin family, listen up. You are all people from the Tian Yuan continent. You follow Qin Yixiao and Yin Qinghua to help the wicked. Don't you feel pain and struggle in your hearts? Your family and friends are all from the Tian Yuan continent. Once we all die, do you think the Nether Hall will keep their word if they take over the Tian Yuan continent? You will all die in the end. Do you know why you are on fire? This is God's warning to you. If you are still stubborn, maybe God will send down lightning to strike you." As expected, after hearing Yun Chujio's words, the disciples of the Gui Yuan sect and the Yin family had a slight commotion. They were naturally unwilling to do so from the bottom of their hearts. They were just following the arrangements of the higher-ups. Qin Mingzhu immediately said, "Don't listen to Yun Chujio's nonsense. A good man's ambition is everywhere. As long as we kill them, The influence of the Gue Yuan sect and the Yin family will expand endlessly. At that time, all of you will have a meteoric rise. With money and power, are you afraid that you won't be able to take care of your family and friends? When those people heard Qin Ming's words, their initially wavering thoughts turned towards the Netherworld Palace. The eldest miss was right. As long as we have money and power in our hands, who cares about their conscience? Yun Chujia's eyes deepened. Io, are you comparing words with me? Little bitch, look at how I've tricked these people into betraying us today. This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. Yun Chuzhou sighed. Originally, your life and death have nothing to do with me. However, I have always been a soft-hearted person. I cannot just stand by and watch as you are deceived by Qin Mingzhu. I will only ask you one thing. Do you think that in the future, you will be on equal footing with the people of the Netherworld Palace? Let's not talk about the distance. Let's talk about the people in front of you. Their food is much higher than yours. Now it is you who are charging into the battle. The people of the Netherworld Palace are sitting back and enjoying the fruits of their labor. No matter how foolish you are. You should understand how high and low your status is, right? Right now, all of you are still useful to me. If I were to treat all of you like this, it can be imagined that in the future, once all of the powers like the Temple of Immortals are eliminated, your fate will either be lower than others or you will be killed to keep your mouth shut. If you don't want to be good people, do you really have to be the servants of the Netherworld Palace? Moreover, do you think that the money and power that you have obtained will be enjoyed by your family and friends in peace? Do you still have the face to meet your ancestors in the future? Most importantly, do you think that you can succeed? Admittedly, we are trapped by you now. But are you confident that you can kill us before the reinforcements arrive? These mighty figures only did not use their full strength because they thought that they were all compatriots. Otherwise, just the poison of Old Man Bai Li alone could kill you. Elders of the Gue Yuan sect and the Yin family, do you really believe in the actions of Qin Yixiao and Yin Qinghua? Now is the time for you to step forward. As long as you capture them, the Gue Yuan sect and the Yin family will return to the right path. Otherwise, the tens of thousands of years of foundation of the Gue Yuan sect and the Yin family will be destroyed in an instant. All of you immediately abandon the dark and join the light. I, Yun Chuzhou, swear on my life that I will let bygones be bygones. I will give all of you 15 minutes to consider. Once the time limit is up, even if all of you want to abandon the darkness and join the light, we will not accept it. When Yun Chuzhou said this, Qin Mingzhu wanted to interrupt her several times. However, Yun Chuzhia's speed of speech was really too fast. Moreover, her voice was very clear, and everyone present could hear it clearly. Those mighty figures were all shocked to the point that they were dumbfounded. Damn, this little girl actually didn't even pause after saying so much. What kind of brain did she have? Bai Li Qingshan's face turned red. Although he was the medicine king, poison had a limited effect on cultivators. Unless it was taken by surprise or eaten directly, the moment the defensive barrier was opened. Oh. The poison basically had no effect. The reason why everyone was affected this time was firstly because the netherworld dispersion was colorless and tasteless. There was no way to distinguish it. Secondly, no one had expected that the Gue Yuan sect and Yin clan had colluded with the Netherworld Palace. They were all caught off guard and fell into the trap. After the people from Gue Yuan sect and Yin clan heard Yun Chujia's words, many people immediately hesitated, especially some elders. Their positions in Gue Yuan sect and Yin clan were not low to begin with. They were not willing to take such a risk and become enemies with the entire Tian Yuan continent. Moreover, if they betrayed them now, they could use this opportunity to get rid of Qin Yixiao and Yin Qinghua. Perhaps they would be able to rise to the top. This was truly a good opportunity. Yun Chuzhou blinked her eyes. She decided to put in more effort. To tell you the truth, His Excellency and young Master Wuji will be arriving with reinforcements soon. Do you think you still have a chance of winning? Are you going to be prisoners or are you going to be upright? Good and evil can be done in a moment. It's still not too late to rein in our horses. As long as we combine our forces, it will be easy for us to deal with the people of the Netherworld Palace. What are you waiting for? Come on, we'll kill them both inside and out. This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. An elder of the Guiyuan sect made up his mind. He shouted loudly, Yun Chuzhou is right. We are all people from the Tianyuan continent. Why should we collude with the people from the Netherworld Palace? We cannot continue to make mistakes. If we kill them, we will still be upright people. Otherwise, we will never be able to hold our heads up high again. An elder from the side branch of the Yin family also echoed and shouted, That's right. We cannot help the evil and kill the people from the Netherworld Palace. The reason why these two people stood out was naturally because they had their own selfish motives. They had long coveted the position of the sect leader. After listening to Yun Chujia's words just now, they were moved. As long as they killed Qin Yixiao and Yin Qinghua, they would be able to rise to the position, they would be able to take over the position. When the two elders said this, some of the people who were originally unwilling to collude with the Hall of the Netherworld immediately started to make a ruckus. Everyone had the mentality of following the crowd. Immediately, many people who were somewhat uncertain also decided to turn against them. Qin Yixiao and Yin Qinghua were so angry that they gritted their teeth and shouted loudly, Don't be stupid. As long as we capture these hostages, Di Biming and Xue Wuji will not be able to break in. Don't forget, we still have the sect protecting formation. At this moment, the crowd was so excited that they did not listen to them. Moreover, Di Linhan and the others saw the right opportunity and rushed out of the courtyard, heading straight for Qin Yixiao and Yin Qinghua. Both sides were engaged in a chaotic battle. However, the situation had been completely reversed. Although Qin Yixiao and Yin Qinghua still had some direct descendants, Yun Chujia's side had completely gained the upper hand. At this moment, Dharma Protector Zhao shouted, Blood sacrifice. The hundreds of people from the Netherworld Hall bit their index fingers almost at the same time. Although some of their chanting was interrupted, most of them still finished chanting. As their chanting ended, they began to use the power of the Netherworld to attack. The situation instantly reversed again. The spiritual power attacks of the cultivators from the Tianyuan continent were completely unable to resist the power of the Netherworld. However, once they were attacked by the power of the Netherworld, the cold air penetrated into their bones and their combat strength was greatly reduced. Don't use your spiritual power to attack them. Just use your spiritual weapon to attack. Yun Chuzhou shouted loudly. Only then did everyone react and took out their spiritual weapons to attack. Although the power of the spiritual weapon attack was not as powerful as the materialization of spiritual power, but fortunately, there were many people on the Tianyuan continent's side and they were able to block the counterattack of the Netherworld Palace. The two sides were in a stalemate for a moment. However, on the whole, the Tianyuan continent side still had the advantage. Moreover, Yun Chuzhou had already asked Di Linhan to bring people to destroy the array core. After the array core was destroyed, once Di Biming and Xue Wuji's reinforcements arrived, even if the people from the Netherworld Palace had the power of the Netherworld, they would definitely be defeated. Father, it's already at this moment. You shouldn't hide anymore. Let that thing out. These people deserve to die. Qin Ming's expression was ferocious. The plan that was supposed to be foolproof had been ruined by that bitch Yun Chuzhou. She really deserved to die. Qin Yixiao hesitated for a moment before gritting his teeth. Under the cover of the direct descendants, he started to form seals and a ferocious beast head appeared in midair. Xueli immediately cried out in surprise, Qin Yixiao, have you gone mad? The few elders of the Guiyuan sect also turned pale with fright. Qin Yixiao, are you trying to destroy the Guiyuan sect? Qin Yixiao's eyes were red. He laughed ferociously. You guys forced me to do this. It's fine if I don't want the Guiyuan sect. As long as I kill all of you, I can completely establish another super sect. All of you listen up. Those who want to live surrender immediately. Otherwise, none of you will survive. This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. Yun Chujo knew that if this continued, even if Di Biming and Xue Wuji rushed in, it would be useless. She had to take care of this Chong Qi first. Yun Chujo thought that it was a pity that the Tao Wu that she took in before was only a remnant soul, and not her soul beast. Otherwise she could let it help her. Yun Chujo recalled the records of the Chong Qi in the ancient books. In the end they all came down to 4 words: punish good and punish evil. This Chong Qi loved evil people and hated good people. Could she make something out of this? Yun Chujo rolled her eyes and suddenly shouted, "Chong Qi! Stop! I want to talk to you." Chong Qi was in the middle of killing people. When it heard Yun Chujo calling it, it opened its bloody mouth and bit Yun Chujo. Yun Chujo rolled on the ground and barely dodged Chong Qi's attack. She gritted her teeth. Damn it, it was indeed a fierce beast. It did not even give her a chance to speak. Since that was the case, let's see just how tough you are. Yun Chujo threw over a dozen sudden rupture talismans that she had obtained from Di Linhan towards Chong Qi's big mouth. Chong Qi did not dodge at all. In its eyes, these humans were simply too weak and did not have the ability to resist at all. After a few loud explosions, Chong Qi let out a roar that shook the heavens. Yun Chuji's explosion caused Chong Qi's entire figure to become a little fainter. This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. You're tuning into the Li Mei's Sword of Destiny YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.